This One Up podcast is presented by Enemy Territory Quake Wars. Available on PC, October 2nd.
Weekend confirmed. Welcome to the One Up Yours podcast for Friday, October the 5th. I am Garnet Lee, and we have the home team in the house.
Yay!
The normal four, the starting lineup.
We got to come up with a better name for us.
I like our name is the normal four.
I'm not digging that at all.
Yeah.
The totally average and acceptable four.
Starting. Well, I'm definitely not going down any reference to a certain comic book. Yeah, because
the Fab Four.
We got to come up with something new. Hey,
yeah.
Listeners, come up with something.
Give
it to us.
An F word.
An F word 4. Well, that solved that one pretty quickly, didn't it? That's John Davison, Mark McDonald, Shane Bettenhausen. We're all here. We're ready to roll. Here's what the show's going to be like today. In the first segment, we're going to do what you've been playing like always. And yes, I will follow through on the Mass Effect. Apologies and duly noted for getting called out for having talked about that and then not followed through on it. In the second segment, we're going to do a kind of combo tag team thing. We've got a couple of threads off of the message boards that are interesting that we will let the group here dig into. And then we're also going to get into some of the rumors that have been wildly filling the rest of the interwebs for the last, 2 or 3 weeks. Some of them hardware related, some of them studio related. All of them interesting, so we'll get into that. And then in the third segment, of course, we will have news as always. So where should we start with the what you've been playing? Who wants to dig into that?
I can dive in. I've actually been still jet lagged for my trip to Japan, so I've been playing games in the early morning hours, which is very odd.
Sunrise gameplay?
Yeah, between like 6 and 8 a.m.
Good time to play games.
Yeah, well, like I'll fall asleep because I fall asleep at 8 o'clock at night. There's like 25 people on Xbox Live. Of course, almost all of them playing Halo. I wake up, there's like one, if that. And usually usually it's somebody in Japan.
Oh.
So, but this morning we got the Orange Box in. Like a lot of people messaged me because they saw me playing, and
a retail copy, not a review copy.
That's right. It's a retail copy, but I can't talk about it in a review sense. But
are you going to share that copy this weekend with anybody else?
Actually, I don't know. It's going to be hard fought over because we literally have one copy.
It's a 360 copy.
A 360, yeah.
Okay. The sad and pathetic thing is that I actually had that over the weekend and didn't touch it.
Yeah, I didn't want to hear that.
What?
I didn't want to hear that. But anyway, so first thing I dove into, actually, Portal.
That's weird. That's like the strangest thing to play. It's like the little, funny offside.
Yeah, but it's unique.
It's unique, and also I had like a couple hours in the morning, so it's a small game. I haven't finished it yet, but it is a very small little bite-sized morsel, but it is blowing me away.
Really?
Yes. Like,
I mean, it's very creative, right? The whole idea is you're making these portals and
here's the thing. So I knew that. You know that it's created. It's very much like the Link to the Past, Light World, Dark World. It's a variation on that first-person shooter, but it's something that had kind of been done before that nobody knew about it. And it's a really cool idea. For people who don't know, it takes place in the Half-Life universe, but it's separate. And you're basically going through this testing facility. You get a gun that eventually can create 2 different portals. You create a hole in the wall, and then you create another hole in the wall where you come out, and then you do different things with that. And I had, it's been at many, many trade shows. I'd played the first couple levels. It's kind of simple. It's really cool.
I mean, is it kind of puzzle based? Like, I need to get over there, so I know I need to make
this like
entrance here, that entrance there.
So it's that feeling in Zelda when you figure out a puzzle,
right.
Like just that.
Yeah.
It's all just that. It's not jumping. It's not really much reflexes at all.
It is kind of like brain teasers.
It's concentrated puzzle elements, but what I didn't expect is, the sense of humor. Like, it is hilarious.
You know that Chet and Eric, the Old Man Murray guys, and we're friends with Eric. We've known him for a long time. They're among the funniest people we've ever met.
And it makes a huge difference. Like, even though this game, the concept is so simple, it's literally, stark white walls. You're in this environment, but there's a voice guiding you through it that says stuff. I'm not going to ruin any of it, but it is... It just shows what a difference like true good writing makes.
Right.
Even in this this minimal just voiceover.
Well, I mean, humor in games. There's so few games that are actually funny, and like Psychonauts is one where like you always say, "Oh, I actually laugh," because how often do you laugh when you're playing games on purpose?
Right.
Like, I always laugh in the Oddworld games too.
Yeah.
And you get those like
if you like fart jokes.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't like a good fart joke?
And there's a lot of like a lot of games where you go kind of like, oh, huh, yeah, but this is stuff where you're actually like. That you're actually laughing out loud and you're like, wow, that's really fucking clever.
Like, is it just cracking jokes or is it poking fun at you? Or
it's not. It's cracking jokes about this. It's like a very sterile institutional environment, and it's a very robotic woman's voice that's guiding you through these things, and it's just crazy, like the stuff that they're saying in this like flat monotone voice. Like I don't even want to give any examples because it really is really good, but it does a lot of stuff with like voiceovers or like operator, when you're like waiting on hold to listen to something. It kind of pokes fun at that whole thing, and the whole like distanced sterile environment with some really fucked up shit going on inside of it. It kind of like gets into that. And then there's also other things to that game, none of which I'm absolutely going to talk about, but that take that very simple concept and actually make it so much more interesting than it would be.
Is it all essentially like a bit like Crush? You're in a small environment and you're making entrance and exits to get to something, or are they big levels where you're traversing things?
No, it's basically like it's a series of rooms, little levels, challenges, and you are. It's like Crush in that you have to.
Is there only one right way to get through each level, basically?
I don't actually even know because I know the way that I did it, but there could be other ways to do it.
But is there any traditional first-person shooting going on?
Not really.
That's interesting. Actually.
There are enemies, but you don't attack anything outright. You drop these crates on turrets. That's all you do, and that sounds terrible.
There's crates and turrets.
That sounds
you would think
awful.
That Valve, if anybody would be making fun of crates and turrets.
The turrets talk like everything is done in such a like polished, clever way. Trust me, like
polished crates and turrets, of course.
So it sounds like the structure is a little like Crush.
Let me describe this. This I don't think gives anything away, but I think it's really cool. Right. So you have this like. It is a crate, but at a certain point it becomes like it talks about this weighted companion cube, and it's a crate that just has a heart on it. And it's like you're supposed to take your weighted companion cube and make it through the level, and like other people previously have like gone insane and fallen in love with the weighted companion cube. It's really fucking
cool.
cool.
You're having this much fun with what is the least substantial piece of this package,
right?
By far is. Saying a lot.
Yeah. It also has this thing called Half-Life 2 that some people think is the greatest game ever made.
Team Fortress, a little afterthought. Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to talk too much more about it, but anyway, Portal.
Well, if you want to hear more people rambling about it, we taped an EGM Live. It'll come out on Monday, and Sean and Crispin talk for 15 minutes about it.
That's Shane's way of saying stop talking about
I'm just saying,
please, Mark.
By the way,
they didn't talk about Portal at all, but they talk a lot about Half-Life 2 and the two episodes and Team Fortress 2.
Right. Nolf 2 still has the best crates ever. Because it created people crates.
People crates?
Yeah, you never saw. If you ever played, because it's on PC, of course.
I played the first one that came out for console.
That's right, it did. I forgot about that. Sierra brought it up. Anyway, best crates in Nolf 2. Close though. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, no, it's good, and it is very.
So did you even play the other? Have you even played the other games, or were you just playing Portal?
Just
That's
played Portal.
Crazy. You had the option.
I've had it for one day.
Oh,
I had like 2 hours this morning before I had to come into work. And
but I can kind of dig why he went for Portal. I mean, I could definitely see the appeal of it's totally distinctive and new, and you're going to check it out.
Exactly.
And like Team Fortress at 8 in the morning before the game's out, it's not like you're going to get a game.
Well, you're right, and I can already say, please, Valve, downloadable new Portal missions, please.
If Portal was by itself like a PSN or Xbox Live Arcade game, how much would you pay for it? Like $10?
I haven't finished it, so I don't know how long it is, but I would say like 15.
That's awesome.
Bucks, and I mean the graphics are so simple, but it really is that concentrated. One of my favorite parts of Zelda, me personally, in a larger game form, and really funny. So
far out.
And then Sony came by today, and we got to see a newer build of Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, and
a near final build,
and very near final build, yeah. And I had been, and I got to play it for about 10-15 minutes. They had the the DualShock
3,
yeah, with the rumble, which is fine. I don't know how next gen it is, but it's fine. It works.
Next gen rumble.
And
so tell me about, because last time I saw Uncharted,
was that at E3?
It was at E3. There was
it had some problems.
Had a lot of problems, and the thing that it reminded me of. Seeing a game early on when 3D cards and stuff were coming out, where the power of the PC and the power of the graphics card were mismatched. So you would get these gorgeous environments that were rendered just a little bit, where everything felt like it was out of place and things didn't sit in each other right. You remember that
What's
kind
up, Trespasser?
Yeah, well, that was like that. And then, if you didn't have the right setup for something like Tomb Raider, there was this very sort of like, it was almost like seeing a cutout of a character running around an environment. It didn't look quite right.
Like the 3D card was so advanced that the game wasn't programmed for it.
And Uncharted had that same look where it was
very
like
plastic.
It was not, and not quite finessed right.
Right. So I know what you're talking about exactly, because the jungle levels, which is mostly what we'd seen, I had felt that. It was very impressive, but it was almost a little too, I don't know what, shiny or like
a little surreal looking.
Everything had sort of sharp edges.
Right. Everything
was very detailed, but it didn't look real.
Everything looked like it had been kind of laminated or something like that. Well, so the levels that we saw today were interiors of like ruins, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I felt the same way. These interiors did not feel that way. Like the characters looked like they belonged in the environments, and the environments were...
I saw one, the lighting was really good, actually, in the level I saw.
The sort of cathedral
with candles.
A lot of candles. It was very dark, but it was cool. And like my previous kind of way of grokking it, I called it Tomb Robber for a long time, because it was like, okay, this is Tomb Raider, right? You're running around, you're exploring, et cetera, et cetera. And I think there is that aspect of it that you are climbing on things, and some of it is just how do you get from point A to point B, like Tomb Raider. But something that kind of occurred to me today that hadn't before was the gunning part of it.
Well, and they do think it is mainly a duck and shoot game.
Right.
It's like at the core, it's not a platformer. It's not a beat 'em up.
Right. So Siphon Filter, like old school Siphon Filter, it reminded me more than anything else of old school Siphon Filter, which I really loved for all its faults.
Really?
The first Siphon Filter was a great game, especially for its time.
Yeah, I don't think he's alone in that at all, actually.
No, it was really fantastic, and what was good about it was you had these segments that were just out and out, running around, balls to the wall, shooting everything around. But you also had a lot of, okay, get cover, line up, sniper rifle, bam. And the enemies were showing a lot more complicated, intelligent behavior today, flanking, stuff like that, throwing grenades.
Well, apparently, since E3, they changed the AI completely.
Right.
Because they got such negative feedback about like the enemy AI and the damage. They tweaked basically the combat.
The damage thing was,
E3.
Damage thing, which we always knew was early, was messed up before. It was like, shoot a guy in the head. He goes into this ridiculous, great animation, but like ridiculous while he's not taking damage that whole time, and then he stands up, okay, you can hit me now again. That's gone. Now it's like you shoot a guy in the head and he's actually dead. You shoot a guy in the foot, he reacts, but you can you're still shooting him in other locations. So animation looks really good. I still there's aspects of it, like the character himself, I still can't help but feeling like it's a guy in blue jeans and like a t-shirt.
The thing that strikes me about this game is always how mundane it is, and it's definitely by design. I mean, like by design, they made the character look very normal, and they made his sidekick girl look very normal, and you're in like these normal environments.
He's an everyman. That's an important part of the game.
Like, there aren't a lot of games like that, but I think because we're used to things being flashier and more design-oriented, that it seems weird.
It's not like I need, the girl to have like a huge rack and him to,
have like Tetsuya Nomura chains and spikes and
good
shit.
God, no. But, I mean, like the example I sometimes think of, not that he should be Indiana Jones, but like Indiana Jones is he has style, he's iconic, but he's still like, he's fallible, he's like an everyman, Anyway.
Doesn't it break the everyman conceit like every 5 minutes though? Because it's like, you're this everyman, you just happen to crash on this like island, and then here you are scaling the side of a fucking ravine.
I think there is
you might do that.
There is a suspension of disbelief,
but there's never none of the scenes I saw were like running to something like these insurmountable odds and him going, fuck that, I'm going to find something else, which is what an everyman would do.
But his animations, the way he does react, and that is cool, like the animations, I never get tired of them because he does react to what's happening around him, and he kind of freaks out when people are shooting him, and he
Right.
Maybe he's a more heroic everyman than you're imagining.
John wants to see him taking a shit. John wants to see him,
I just wanted to
masturbating.
See him. Yeah.
John wants to.
I'm just going to shoot behind here. But what I thought was, it was like every now and then it would throw one of these sort of superheroic things, and instead of continuing with the whole everyman thing, it would be suddenly everyman turns into Superman and leaps over the ravine.
All the way back to Pitfall Harry, we were jumping on top of alligators, so that's the way it goes. I mean, everyman.
From hearing them talk about it, what I thought they were going to do is, beyond the sort of him shrugging stuff off and looking nervous, that there would be points where the humor would come from crazy big challenge and guy just going, fuck it, I'm going to go the other way. And it doesn't seem to do that.
Kind of like a Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
That
was kind of
anti-hero.
That was how they positioned it originally.
Well, I think they've been a little too conservative about what they've shown in this game. And, all we've really seen is the jungle publicly, and there's all these other levels we haven't seen. The story is still more or less a question mark for us.
It showed a couple other levels at TGS, but it is, like, I saw just on the debug, like the level list, it looked like there's a lot.
Well, and I have really high expectations for the story, because Amy Hennig, who wrote it, I mean, she did a great job on the Legacy of Kain.
Excellent job with those.
So I expect a lot from the story, and we haven't seen much of it.
So I have to say, I went from kind of like, all right, maybe I'll play it, to like, okay, I'm definitely going to like check this game out.
Yeah, really, it wasn't on your list.
No, I mean, no.
That's
honestly,
funny,
it wasn't. It was like, to me, it was like, before it was like, okay, it's another, Tomb Raider wannabe
right,
kind
so
of game.
I guess people knowing my love of Tomb Raider are not surprised that was definitely on my list of like, oh my gosh, that is a PS3 game I must have.
I've always wanted to try it, but I'm still a little skeptical of how much I'll like it. But
right.
I always felt it was a sleeper this fall that I definitely want to try.
It's carrying a lot more weight for the PS3 now than I think it was originally intended.
Well,
yeah, because things got pushed back. And they're doing a
by
demo.
force.
Other things didn't quite fully cook in the oven.
Yeah, and they're doing a demo, which is a good idea. So hopefully the demo will be really strong.
Right.
So. Sounds cool. Sounds like it was a good demo to check out. Sounds like a good time.
That's it. I mean, that and Halo 3, which I don't think anybody probably needs me to talk too much more about.
We did Halo 3. I mean, did you listen to last week?
I was here.
He was here.
I know. No, I'm saying, did you listen to last week? I mean, we covered it.
Right.
Good save,
I'm curious. I'm curious.
I'm saying, did you listen? I was very rhetorical.
I wasn't here last week. I was on deadline, really busy. And I'm curious, Mark, if you agree with Jeremy Parrish's assessment that Halo 3 has better in-game character models than Metal Gear Solid 4.
No, that came out of last week's show, and I think he's high.
Just making sure.
Yeah, I mean,
come on. Did you see the picture threads?
I did see the picture threads.
It was awesome. It was really awesome.
Had I been here, I would have shut him down.
Cutscenes, not Halo 3's strong suit. No. Story, not Halo 3's strong suit. Gameplay, yes. Multiplayer, yes. Yeah. Etc.
John, what have you been?
You know what we got today? Cooking Mommer 2.
Did you?
Mommer.
Is it good?
Maybe you can be on the review.
Maybe, yeah.
Talk to Greg Ford.
I will. What have I been playing? I played some more PGF4.
I don't even have a copy. There's apparently no retails around the office. What the hell?
You ended up liking it, right?
Eventually, yeah. It
took
won
a while.
Me over. It took a while. First couple hours, definitely not.
Did you not like the motorcycles or what?
Shane, we did talk about this last. You gotta start listening to these episodes.
Really,
I've been very busy.
Here's the condensed version of PGR.
Yeah,
bikes versus cars. Not really. But it does do these like little moments every now and then where it'll do some really unusual matchups. Like it'll do an electric roadster versus a Ferrari,
and lots of rain.
And it rains.
The rain looks good.
But it rains all the fucking time.
Yeah. It's like being back in London
or Seattle.
Oh yeah, but it's all over the world and it's raining everywhere.
Well, it's global warming, John. The icebergs have melted. They fueled the clouds. It's now raining everywhere.
What else have I been playing? This Mass Effect thing.
Oh yeah, I played some of that game too.
I think it could be quite. Can
you tell us what your hero is like?
My hero is an Earthborn
man or woman.
Man.
Okay.
Who's he's the ruthless character, which I was expecting because
Dark Side basically.
No, because at the beginning of the game you either get to use one of the pre-built shepherds, the male or female
shepherds.
Do what? Go ahead, Mark. What?
That was supposed to be a whisper to Garnett. Can he talk about this?
Yeah, no, we can totally talk about this because I went up to BioWare. I was supposed to talk about this.
He was supposed to talk about it and he didn't.
Okay.
So we can fully talk about this.
All right.
So at the beginning,
it's okay, we don't have to whisper on the show.
And they've demoed the crap out of the very beginning of the game already.
And that's one of the coolest parts. One of the coolest parts is that they've been like throwing this iconic dude at you because they needed. I mean, they were very upfront about it. We needed a marketing image.
Are we talking about the racially ambiguous bald space marine guy?
Right, yes.
Okay, yeah.
That's totally the guy we're talking about, and they were totally upfront with me about it.
Racial ambiguity is actually sort of important to the overall story because the human race is sort of mixed up so
that's
much.
That's why Vin Diesel, he was marketed as a racially ambiguous.
It's the same principle.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, you can be a man or a woman, and then you choose where you were born, whether you were born in space.
Can you be gender ambiguous and racially ambiguous?
No.
No, but apparently there are.
You'd be like Boy George.
Sexually ambiguous.
You'd be Prince.
There actually might be some alternative love interests for you
later on,
as usual in BioWare,
Those
right?
Like lesbian love hookups.
So at the beginning, you choose some basic personality types, and what that does is it dictates the way the conversation threads go. So you were either a war hero or a soul survivor or ruthless. And then from then on, when anyone who's ever heard of you in the game is speaking to you, it's always framed in your history. So if you were a sole survivor, then there was you were in the middle of some huge holocaust or something on some faraway planet, and you were the only one left, and everyone's worried that you went a bit crazy because of it.
Yeah.
Then the war hero is the flag waving, shot everyone. And I went with the ruthless one because I kind of wanted to see where that would go. And the hero worship the ruthless guy too. There's a lot of.
They do.
It's like watching an action movie when they're talking about Vin Diesel, but it's like, he just gets it done. It doesn't matter whatever the costs are. He's the man that gets it done. Isn't that who you want saving the universe? It's all a bit
you're just a total badass, basically.
Yeah, you're a badass, but it's the same voice. It's just the lines change.
But what I liked about having all that at the beginning is that it actually made you feel like you were playing a role-playing game from the outset.
Yeah.
You actually had that feeling. There's another layer of it where you get to choose where you were. Like you said, you were Earthborn.
Yeah.
There's also Spacer
or Colonist or something.
Right.
And so you kind of log into the system, and then you go straight into the game. And there's a lot of setup at the beginning, and then what they've shown in a lot of the demos, it turns out that's actually the very beginning of the game. The stuff with the space zombies, the things that come off the spikes.
Right,
so it introduces a lot of that in the first 20 minutes of the game. But you watch it a lot. There's a lot of sitting back and
you interact with watching it a lot. Because let's differentiate, because with the big news that came out over the past week was the way that Lost Odyssey is going to be apparently at 20 hours of video.
Okay, as somebody who's used to playing a lot of JRPGs, the first hour of a game usually not a lot of interaction.
Right.
There's a lot of exposition.
FF7 started out starting with a bang and doing a little action at the beginning, but then there is usually 20 to 30 minutes of setting things up.
I gotta say, it's a really good first hour.
It's an awesome first hour.
It teaches. It's essentially done in the form of a tutorial. It's teaching you how to do the weapons and the grenades and the force power, whatever they're called. Not force
dark powers. Dark powers.
Dark powers. It's not the force. No,
Here
really.
Here come the LucasArts people.
Okay, but I have a question. Are the battles as customizable as we'd all heard? Can you play them turn-based or can you play them action?
There's no turn-based.
There's no turn-based.
There's no turn-based.
That's what I wanted.
It doesn't take anything away from it, Shane. It totally doesn't take anything away from it.
But I don't want to make squad commands.
No. You're kind of not doing that either, because there's a couple of instances early on where there's a big battle scene, and then when you reach the Citadel, once you're off the first planet, you get the first sort of one or two guys attacking you, and then much more
came by and
advanced.
Turned off the Xbox when I was landing at the Citadel.
Really? So
that was the turn-off spot.
You're heading to this bar to meet this guy, and there's a couple of guys waiting for you and your party, and
a cantina full of strange rogues and mercenaries. How startlingly original.
There's jazz music playing in the background.
Yeah. And there's a battle there where the AI is ducking behind cover, and it's like a big showing off the AI thing. And in that, you use the bumpers to essentially freeze the action and tell your dudes what you want them to do. But what you're really doing is telling them what weapon to use and what powers to use.
Well, I got to play. So the way they had it set up was where they turned it off for the beginning part, but there were two other places they let us play. They let us play one part that was in the middle of the game and one part that was towards the end of the game. And the end of the game section was really, really hectic. And the way the pace of the game developed is, first of all, when you're playing the game, it feels very much to me, it felt like Gears of War.
Really?
I feel like Gears of War.
Because it does it does the shaky cam stuff, right?
It felt like Gears of War to me because it has that over-the-shoulder camera. Mm-hmm. You're running with a gun. You're doing a lot of shooting, but the pace is not at all like Gears of War because the bumper pause in the later battles, when you're a badass and everything else is badass, you're basically pausing the game every couple of. It's like run, shoot,
I'm not
pause,
buying
run,
your
shoot,
Gears
pause.
of War thing at all.
Really?
Nah, because the way the weapons are set up is that early on you have a pistol, like a machine gun, a shotgun, and maybe a sniper rifle at your disposal, and the little reticule for each one changes in size based on all the stats are displayed visually, basically. So the shotgun is very, very powerful, and you can take a guy's shield out with one shot. So the reticule is pretty small
at close range.
Even from long, it doesn't get that much bigger. So you have to aim it better in order to be able to nail the guy. So it goes orange when you're going to get him.
So, but it is more tactical than it's not. Yeah. It's not action. So the
reticle for the machine gun is massive.
Okay.
So it's like it's taking up a good third of the screen in the middle of the screen.
Right.
And
so you're just clicking yes.
So as long as the dude is inside the circle and you wait long enough for it to go orange and then you pull the trigger, you hit him. It's not like you have to track him.
Is it timing based as well?
Not really.
Only in so much as like you're over there and I'm just roughly lining up with you, and if I'm lined up with you for a couple of seconds, the reticule goes red, and I pull the trigger and I'll kill you.
During that time, is the guy like running towards me to fight me?
So I'm aiming, but I'm not aiming like Halo or Gears of War aiming. I'm like pointing in your direction.
So it's kind of a combination of action and RPG.
It's Hellgate-ish in that regard, but it did feel to me sort of Rainbow Six-ish, sort of Gears of War.
The squad commands are straight out of Rainbow Six and Gears of War. It's like you tap, if I want you to run over there, I tap up on the D-pad and it puts a little 3D triangle on the ground.
There's no auto AI. I can't have that already taken care of.
No, you can configure all that.
Yeah, you can hang back. Like last night, I had no health. I was playing at one scene, I had no health. And I had two dudes with me, and I just let them get on with it, and they cleared out the whole level without me having to do anything.
That is encouraging.
Yeah, is it? I mean, how it was pitched to me, what excited me about it was it seemed like it was you could take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to, if it was a boss or you were low on health or whatever, and you wanted to micromanage, you go here, you could do it. But if you didn't want to, you could kind of be like, all right, go for it, guys.
No, you can't. And so you can set each of your AI opponents. You can set each of your opponents. You can set each of your AI guys who are on your squad on how you want them to use their powers. You can tell them, don't use your powers at all unless I tell you to. Use only your defensive and support ones, or just go, fucking crazy and attack everything with your powers.
So one other question, like in the videos that I'd seen before, there was kind of like a weird pause every once in a while, especially in combat and stuff like that. You notice anything like that?
No.
Cool.
If you're seeing pause, I think it's because, at least the way I played it, and again, maybe we played it differently, but in the later missions, I was pausing a lot because...
This was like a stutter. This was like This was
like a loading kind of stutter.
It was like a... stop for a second. All right, here we go.
It did that at E3. I noticed that a lot.
So how
is
the frame rate?
It's great.
It was fine.
Like solid 30.
Yeah,
easy. So to clarify a couple things people are wondering, like when you hit pause, it pulls up a circle menu, and the circle menu is divided into 3 portions. The bottom portion is your powers and moves, and then the left and the right are the 2 squad mates that you have. And if you want to tell them, say, to use a burst firepower, which is an extra power that shoots your entire clip at somebody, you would just roll the cursor over the burst fire icon, and then inside the world put the crosshair on who you wanted to target that with and press the A button. It's really easy to assign, hey, you go do this and you go do this.
No, so. I think it's a good balance between the two, but the sort of hanging back thing, the only way to avoid, if you don't want to be in the fight, the only way is to really kind of step out of it. But you can wander off, and you can send your guys into something, and then you can just issue orders with the D-pad, and you can either tell them to hold back or to, there's sort of, it's not really an aggression thing. It's very, very simple. But like at its base level, it's like, all right, there's 4 dudes down this corridor. I've got no health. Go deal with it.
Right.
And they'll just get on with it. And the AI is good enough that I was actually, this one thing, I was up on this this bridge, and I sent my dudes down this thing, and I was watching the Geth were coming out, and they were hiding behind boxes, and they were throwing grenades at each other and popping up and shooting, and then covering each other, and I was doing nothing.
They were
just
there. Back. Yeah. Excellent. Go, my robots. Destroy them.
Another thing that was really interesting to me, and I know we've talked a lot about this, is how much these side missions are going to play into the game. When we were there and they were talking about it, the core storyline may only be around half from. They were very cagey, but may only be around half of the potential explorable space, because so much of the Uncharted worlds are every Uncharted world is completely built into the plot line, but also completely optional. So, I mean, they have a very big deal on their side quests of making their side quests all relevant. You're never just, doing a silly fetch quest.
That's the Oblivion-ness of it, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, instead of it being a very structured side quest system, it's this sort of, it's much more elective, much more...
Speaking of Oblivion, is there a new fucking Oblivion expansion pack? Did I see that on Xbox Live?
No, they're re-promoting Knights of the Nine or something.
No, it was something, I don't know. Something I hadn't heard of before.
I think they're republishing it with everything in it again, as a disc.
God's
sake.
There's
the super
there's
version.
Game of the Year, Super Edition.
Yeah, it has Shivering Isle and Knights of the Nine and everything.
And that's coming out for PS3 and 360.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I didn't want to derail it, but I saw that and I was like, God damn, are these more?
No, but I think the Oblivion comparison, I think, is still stands. I mean, they're similar in that they're action-focused.
But I love having the pause. I love having the pause. In a role-playing game, being able to pause and think about what I'm doing.
But anyone that's thinking that it's KOTOR, Jade Empire, it's a lot more... You're going to have to be on your toes a lot more than you were on in either of those games.
I don't know. Jade Empire was the combat was very button-mashy. It was kind of a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, one last question. What class did you choose? Because the whole class system's really cool.
I was a Vanguard who's like
that's the hybrid. What's one of the hybrids?
He's a hybrid warrior and magic user, essentially.
A dual class from D&D.
So they have it broken down so that the skills are suited to very specific tasks in the game. There's a lot of hacking doors open and if you're the warrior class, I can't remember what they're called, the soldier or whatever.
Soldier, I think, yeah.
They have no magic. They can upgrade all their weapons. They can use heavy armor, and they're the only people that can do heavy armor and really heavy weapons. And everyone can pick up a gun and use it, but only certain classes can train on that weapon.
So there's 2 tiers to the proficiency for any weapon.
Mm-hmm. And that means that the accuracy gets better, which means that you. And it's sort of an inverse thing.
Maybe that's part of what it was, because in the later levels that I was playing, the shepherd that they had prearranged for us was a soldier, and he had specialized in the weapons, and it was pretty shooter-like for him. Yeah. For him specifically, it was. But
the more accurate your character is, the less accurate you have to be as the player. It's sort of an inverse thing in the way that it presents itself.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's there's a lot of things it brings in the sort of rhythm game aspect. All the hacking is
But
it's like MechWarrior on Xbox, where you press there's the A, B, X, Y buttons, and they show you a pattern, and you press them.
Are you as excited right now as you are about KOTOR? This weekend, you're really stoked about playing.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, as soon as I leave here, I'm going to go home, and this is what I'm going to be doing tonight.
Because Brian, last night he went to bed, didn't play it, and I was like, what? You have
Oh
Mass
my
Effect?
God! He didn't play it. Are you kidding me? Since I've been to Edmonton, I have had such a chub for that thing. It is. Oh my God!
Take it away from him, Garnet.
Thanks for sharing your chub.
You deserve it more than he does.
Dude,
Take it away from him.
I am so dying to play that game. I mean, I'm dying to play that game not just once, but I'm dying to see what it's like if I play a Vanguard, or if I play an engineer, if I play a soldier engineer, if I play a soldier magic guy. Anyway,
something about it that I think that hasn't really been talked about much is the music.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Which is awesome. It's
Is it John Williams-esque?
No, it's like a 70s sci-fi movie.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
A lot of Moogs?
Yes, a lot of analog synths and a little analog arpeggio.
No, this brings up something I have to ask about. So the 70s movie effect that they had on the graphics at E3?
The Silent Hill noise?
Oh, you go into options, you can turn it off.
Okay, that was way out of control at E3.
You know what? You can go into options and turn it off, and I played for about an hour with it off and for about the rest of the time with it on, because when I turned it off, I was like, oh, you know what? Actually, yeah, it looks better, and I'm doing air quotes around better with it off.
It's kind of a weird, unexpected filter, I thought.
You know what? It looks cooler with it on.
After you get it's too much.
So
what was at E3 anyway?
You can decide. If you want to use it, great. If you don't,
they do a lot of things with masks on the camera as well. So when you go into Roadie Run, it sucks in all the corners go
Wait, that's
dark.
a Gears thing. I thought you said it wasn't like Gears.
Well, it doesn't play like Gears.
But
I didn't.
The camera effects.
Just saying, it had some of the feel of it.
But you're leaving all that on. All the filters.
Yeah, I've left it all on.
All right.
The filters are cool. I think actually you'll be surprised. You might, like, when you start to play it, you might turn it off, and then after you play with it off for a while, you go, that does actually give it some character.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want it super shiny. I don't.
It doesn't make it super shiny. It makes it clean.
Turning it off. Yeah, but I don't want it. It was way too much at E3. I was like, really? Are you guys really doing that?
Do you think they toned it down?
If it distracts you, then it's too much.
It's not as noisy, but there are some points where, because they do a lot with like really extreme focus effects, and a lot of depth of field on things.
I mean, Blue Dragon kind of overused.
Yeah, when the noise is on, when it's doing soft focus, sometimes it looks very realistic. Like there's a point where he's kind of like waking up after he's been knocked out or whatever, and it's like pulling the camera back, and it's like all blurry and noisy, and it's like, because it softens up any sort of like polygonal stuff that you can see, and it's like very, very sort of, oh wow, okay, if anyone that's not really a gamer is around and they see it do that, it's like, Jesus, that looks kind of real,
Okay, I just had to ask that because at E3 that was my one thing. Like, guys,
Cool. I actually like it on because the Unreal Engine does some stuff with the cell shadowing that gets a bit kind of shaky.
Yes.
So there's some stuff, like if someone's wearing a hat.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it has this sort of shimmering
shadow pop.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's
like
a
pops
problem.
In and out, yeah.
They got to fucking figure that out because, the edges of shadows are like, they're freaking out, going back and forth. Yeah.
What else? Exactly what else you been playing?
That's kind of a
we now done Mass Effect. People no longer
beat the shit out of Mass Effect.
That's kind of a big one, dude.
Yeah. I know it is a big one. So I have to. I'm going to throw in. I'll do my one quick one, and then I'll do my other one. I have to wonder. I'm on Shane's side with Heavenly Sword. I started playing Heavenly Sword over the weekend, and actually yesterday I had a comp day, and I played the shit out of Heavenly Sword. It is fucking that game is it's fun.
You two just high-fived. Do you honestly think it's a 9?
That's what I was going to say.
Wait. Yeah. Did you give it a 9?
Yes.
You gave it a fucking 9.
Thank you. So that's what I was going to say too. You can like Heavenly Sword.
Wait.
That's fine. Like it all you want.
Well, we can high five, but it's
you take back the high five?
You want to take that back?
It's not a 9.
Yeah,
what is it, Garnet?
High five?
When I was on EGM, I gave some N64 games a 9 too.
Look, I'm not here to score it, but I'll say this: the combat is fun.
It's as deep as it needs to be.
Dude, that's a cop out if you're not going to score it after saying it's not a 9.
8.
I think you need to score it.
I would give it. I would probably. I'm about 3/4.
I said on this podcast that I did give it a full point for what I believe pushes the level of presentation in gaming to a level it's never been.
But it's got fucking
the cutscenes, dude. The cutscenes
are great.
The acting and the facial animation is unlike anything we've ever had.
So much better when you're mad.
Exactly.
Give it a fucking rest. It's terrible.
No, it's not. It's fucking awesome.
What do you have against New Zealanders? You hate the Kiwis because you're British? What is it?
Fine, the graphics are gorgeous, but it's got like N64 type trigger points in it. You can like walk into a room and avoid triggering the bad guys. It's awful.
I have to admit that in the sake of gamesmanship, I have been intentionally.
In the sake of a game, it's shit, but it looks beautiful.
In the sake of gamesmanship, I have been not breaking the game, but I've been.
But it gets a point for having nice cutscenes.
I didn't give it a fucking point for having nice cutscenes. I'll give it points for this. The combat is a lot of fun. It is totally MASH happy. It is more MASH happy than DMC. It makes me want DMC that much more.
Because that might be a good game.
Another good thing about Heavenly Sword.
Damn it, fuck off.
Another great thing about Heavenly Sword, I feel, is the pacing. The pacing is very surprising. It doesn't.
Yeah, because it only takes 6 hours to beat it, so you'll be fine.
Oh, I so wish I'd played this game to jump in right now.
This game, sleep with your wife.
The pacing is the pacing is not all that good, Shane.
Well, no, I think it is good. As long as you like Kai, as long as you like the way Kai plays.
Kai is a brilliant character. I love the character.
Okay, so if you like the way Kai
plays, is fucking hilarious. She's so funny. She is such a.
Okay, come on. You're talking about Bjork with a bow and arrow?
Yeah, fucking killed. No,
Bjork
she's got a crossbow. It's a crossbow.
But like as I said on this podcast, as like you play as Kai for longer than you think you will, and by the time you're done with it, you're really excited to get back to Naruto because you realize how good that gameplay was.
The bad guy, dude. What's the bad guy's name?
Sorry, did you just say you're excited to get back to the other things so you could see the gameplay is so bad with one of them that you need that to be able to judge the other stuff?
I think Gardner was talking about the brilliant performance of Andy Serkis as King Bohan.
Oh my God, the voiceovers of this. The voice.
I can buy a copy of Lord of the Rings for $7 on buy.com right now. Why don't I just do that?
John, that attitude is like, I don't want brilliant production values in my games. It's worthless to me.
What I want is brilliant gameplay in my games. I don't want to be guiding a fucking arrow with a 6-axis 20 times in a row.
See, I
Wait a minute. I actually thought.
I think Aftertouch for me was fun every single time I did it in the game.
You know
I'm not kidding.
Oh, the same thing.
Always fun.
There's a dude walking across a bridge for what, like 20 minutes? And
no, actually, there's 20 dudes. I got to that level.
When your crippled dad is like dragging himself across the fucking bridge, and it's like, oh, there's another guy coming out the door behind. Twang, like guiding it in. Oh shit, I missed. Twang, and the fucking idiot is still dragging himself along.
I feel so bad for John that he's no longer into guiding it in. Well, poor guy.
I have some experience with it. I got to do it more regularly, huh?
That's enough Heavenly Sword talk.
Real quick. A, it's fun. I had a good time with it. B, the voiceovers are a lot of fun, but it's really bizarre to hear British acting with or English. Kiwi, whatever it is, a North or a Western style accent with all the Eastern style imagery in the game. And I thought Aftertouch was really good. I thought this was I will say,
why are all the Asians like Scottish and Irish in that
really
game?
It's really fucking bizarre. It's so funny. And whether or not you use too much of the Aftertouch, it is so far the best use of the 6-axis controller. It works really well. The touch is good.
You're so redeemed in my eyes.
Oh, fuck off, dude. Whatever. Fuck off. But I don't need redemption. It's all good.
I'm having serious doubts about both of your taste right now.
It's fun. It's a fun game.
What's weird about me is
why does gaming not have to be just something you sit down and have fun with? It's a game you sit down and have fun
I don't think it was fun at all. I thought it was
I think John's opinion on Heavenly Sword may be part of the overwhelming Euro backlash against Heavenly Sword across the board in England.
God.
Every single British publication.
Yes, it's genetic. It's got nothing to do with the fact that it's crap.
Every British publication has given Heavenly Sword lower than average scores, and I think it's because it's made by Kiwis and there's some sort of weird racist thing going on here. And
I think this
clearly
merits further study. I think for sure it's down to the DNA. No, really, isn't it down to like a mantle, like what was placed on Heavenly Sword's shoulders? Maybe
it was way more than it achieved.
It was not up to the task.
Is it better than God of War? No, of course not.
So people wanted God of War for the PS3.
It's kind of a different animal. Its successes and failures are different than God of War.
It's some British dudes who are anime fans making Genji.
No.
Yeah, it is.
You had to bring Genji up.
No, the original Genji. Not the crappy Genji. The original Genji.
Let's talk about some more.
Okay, so the other game I played the shit out of was the other day. Activision had an event where they had the full version, complete with the new Les Pauls, of Guitar Hero 3, and
okay, I have some questions.
Okay, Rock Band fans, stop. Get over it for a moment. Remember Guitar Hero 3.
All right, I have some questions about this game.
Ask me a question.
What about no co-op play out of the box?
What do you mean no co-op play? You could sit down and play. You're fucking crazy, dude. There's totally co-op
Michael
play.
Donahoe, who reviewed the game, was telling me, in order to play co-op play, you have to have already played some other modes first.
Co-op career is on the very menu right there at the beginning. At least it was when we played in the event. Co-op career. You start off, you play co-op career.
Maybe he was misinformed.
If true, retarded.
What? What's retarded?
Retarded that you have to unlock co-op.
Yeah, if
that is the case.
He implied to me
you had to unlock co-op. Well, you had to unlock music in the game in order to play
before you can play co-op
in either single or co-op in the original game.
So when you get this game home and put it in, you and your friend cannot play together out of the box.
You can play, but you have to play co-op career. But you would have had to play those songs. You've always had to unlock songs in Guitar Hero. There's nothing new to unlocking
another thing I heard
songs.
that some of the
I'm
bosses.
not sure what we're talking about anymore.
I kind of got lost.
I've also heard that some of the bosses are not fun and too hard.
Well.
But if I'm planning to buying Rock Band, are you going to be able to convince me to buy this game?
Absolutely. Look, let me tell you what. Here's the things that have struck me about Guitar Hero, especially after playing the final version. Number one, I was the most skeptical about the importance of the controller and they've been selling the controller super hard. Let me tell you what. We came back to the office and we have an older build of the game. We played it with the original Xbox wired controllers. I can't even play with that controller anymore. The Les Paul that they've made is such a better controller. It is disturbingly much better. The
better than the Rock Band guitars?
Yes. It is actually better than the Rock Band guitars. And I'll tell you one thing I like about the Rock Band guitars.
Buttons.
That kind of sucks in a way, though, because now I got to buy another fucking guitar.
No, dude, the Les Paul is really, really, really well made for for actually 3 reasons. Number one, the buttons that are out on the frets. I don't know what they did, improved switch mechanisms or whatever, but it is so much when you're doing the hammer-ons and pull-off parts in the song now, they work so much more smoothly. If you've ever had trouble hitting those runs, where you have lots of circles without the black circles, where you're like trying to hit the runs.
Okay.
You will hit them now, and you will hit them just with the change of guitar.
Okay, 2 and 3.
Also, if you've had the strum bar part where like the strum bar would hit double or triple times when you press down on it, that's gone because now the strum bar mechanism is so much better.
Okay.
And they put an accelerometer in there instead of, like they used to have like the ball, like a little rolling ball inside a sled. And now when you tilt the guitar back, you don't have to like shake it. You don't have to go through.
Is it now mercury?
I don't know what it is, but it works.
Atomic calibration.
One thing I want to ask about both of these, because I've not played either of them very much, is one of the beauties of Guitar Hero 1 and 2 was that you were able to play it if you'd never played a video game, and if you didn't really have good timing, you could just pick up a guitar and feel like you were a part of it. Are they catering to the people that play it hard too much now?
Are they? No, I don't think so.
Because the beauty of it was
it
was like super accessible. It was a way to get people that didn't play games to play games. And it sounds like the more I hear about it, the more it's like more things to do,
I think
more
that
of
accessibility
everything.
is in Rock Band more.
Really? Because I would say like perception-wise, they've definitely won that battle. But one thing that Neversoft did that's really big with Guitar Hero is that, but in previous editions of Guitar Hero, you had 2 track speeds. In other words, how fast the notes are going past on the scroll bar. Now they have 4. So, like, at beginner, it is not only easier notes, but the note track is going really, really slow relative to how fast the notes are coming. And the same thing as you move up. So each level has an incremental increase. So now when you go to regular, or what I call regular, what's that? What do we play on? Hard?
Mm-hmm.
When you go to hard, there's 5 buttons, but it's not at that super fast expert speed. But when you go to, so they're kind of catering to both, because by having the discriminate 4 levels, you can give a hard that's actually hard, but when you go to expert on that game, expert on Guitar Hero is
insane.
Yeah, all right, I will not be able to play. I don't think I will be able to play expert.
Let's get to the question: Rock Band or Guitar Hero 3? You can only have one. Which one?
I can't.
You can only have one.
I can, and it's Rock Band, because like I've played a lot of Guitar Hero in my day, but the feeling of playing Rock Band with 3 other people is unmatched and unavailable in Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero 3 can be the best Guitar Hero ever made. Still, it is that feeling is not available in that game.
I'm going to go Guitar Hero because drums I've had fun with, but I'm not overwhelmed by. Singing, I'm a fucking...
Do you not like other people?
Do
you not like playing with other people?
I'm a crappy singer, and on the contrary, I love playing with other people. And as I learned at this event, the guitar battles are a fucking blast, and I'm going to give props right now to Brad at GameSpot, who kicked my ass 3 times in a row.
This would be Brad Shoemaker.
Brad, very close. So if someone knows Brad, let him know that I'm giving him his... This is Brad Shoemaker. I'm giving him his due. We played 3 times. They were all close battles, but he beat me all 3 times. And it was fun. It was a blast. We had such a good time.
Brad and I did deliver a very rousing rendition of Sweet Child of Mine at karaoke.
Dude, we had such a good time.
You were there, right?
Yeah.
You probably remember it.
I totally remember it.
Is this before or after the pole dancing?
This is about 8 hours before Garnet.
Wait, stop.
Dance on the pole.
Yeah. All right.
We did get a little taste of the fact that he pole danced last week.
God damn it. Stop. Anyway, Guitar Hero 3, fantastic. The note tracking is awesome. And let me tell you what, with the songs that they announced, which I have down here someplace, come on.
The song list is good.
The song list is really,
I will say,
really
I wish a lot
now.
of these songs were in Rock Band.
Right. So why are you choosing Rock Band?
The magic of community.
Are you kidding me, man? And maybe it's because I grew up in Texas, but Pride and Joy and Eric Johnson alone being on this is...
Are we buying the fact that Rock Band is a platform? I mean, I'm not.
A platform?
They're pushing that Rock Band is a platform, and it's going to be like a steady thing for a long period of time. They're just going to keep dropping content in it.
Oh, no.
I can't believe for a second there's not going to be a Rock Band 2 next year.
This is EA. But what I believe will happen is Rock Band 2 will add a new instrument.
If they do that, it would be... If they make it a platform, that would make it much more
Well, that's how they've been positioning it, but I don't believe for a minute that they're not going to iterate every year.
Yeah, Shane, what new instrument? Guitar, tambourine...
Cowbell.
They already have cowbell because he hit the microphone.
Guitar would be nice.
I think some kind of keyboardy type thing,
but
definitely.
they can't resell you those same fucking instruments again. Not in the next 5 years.
We'll
not
see.
if you're dropping, what is it, $170?
By the way,
$170, yeah.
The other thing about Guitar Hero 3 is there's an argument that there's going to be made out there that the Wii version is arguably maybe most compelling.
Why?
What?
The Wii version...
Why is the Wii version most compelling?
Because number one, it misses nothing. I mean, other than high-def graphics, and who gives a crap about high-def graphics in a music song, right? And it takes the Wiimote and it puts it inside the guitar body.
What does that matter, though?
What does that matter?
It's really cool because one of the things about Guitar Hero that's always been really distracting me is when you miss a note, you get that twang noise, right? And it comes out through the main speakers. Well, the first use of the little speaker in the Wiimote that actually makes sense. Now the twang noise comes out of the Wiimote, and especially when you're in battle, you can hear when your opponent misses one and when you miss one, especially when you're in runs at the same time.
It's a good idea, but
it is cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the best version or whatever it was you said.
You still got to rebuy a guitar.
Other than that, they're all the same. And the online on Wii, once you've exchanged friends code, is exactly like live. There's random matches.
Okay,
there's
wait.
battles.
You said a mouthful right there. Once you've exchanged friend codes, like seriously, how many friend codes?
But that's the only way you can do it.
I know. I mean,
that's the way the system is.
But it still sucks.
It does suck, but let's stop bitching about it. I mean, that's the way it is.
Okay, we know you love Guitar Hero.
Yeah, Shane. Jump in.
So I've been really busy. This deadline was a real killer. So
are you going to talk about Splat or Poo or whatever it's called?
I will talk about that in a minute.
All right, good.
First, we're going to talk about what I haven't been playing, but that I do want to play this weekend. And those games include Halo 3 and BioShock. I think I might try BioShock first. That's a little more my style. And I'm going to play Halo 3 co-op on easy with my friend Ted.
BioShock can wait. I told you you're not playing Halo on easy.
But I am.
No, you're not. You'll play it on heroic. There'll be 3 of us. You'll be fine.
Let's see what happens with that.
I want to play it because I have no one to play co-op with.
Well, you can join our easy co-op experience.
I will play.
You can be the 4th on heroic. You're going to play on heroic. You're not playing on easy.
We'll see what happens.
You're not.
On the PS3 this weekend, I got Folklore, Eye of Judgment, and Ratchet & Clank to try. And I'm excited.
You're not playing all of those. Which one are you actually going to play?
How long is your fucking weekend?
3 days, bitch.
That's not long enough.
I'm going to try Folklore first because I hear it's short.
Wait, is Monday a Ziff holiday?
No, tomorrow is a Shane holiday.
Oh.
It's Columbus Day Monday, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's not a real holiday.
That's a holiday.
I don't think it's a Ziff
also,
holiday.
we have nights here at the office, and like I played it at TGS, and like the Knights fan within me. And what's funny is people on message boards are like, none of those guys are Knights fans. I'm like the biggest Knights fan ever. Got all A's in Knights. I'm like sang the songs from Christmas Nights, made my A-Lives all the way. You have no idea how gay I was for Knights back in 1997. And like, was I disappointed by Knights on Wii? Yes. But do I still think it's good? Kind of. So we have it here at the office. I'm going to play some more.
Would you describe yourself as totally gay for Knights?
I was in 1997. Not so much anymore. In addition to those games, I've been playing in the last week Phoenix Wright 3 Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah, so how about
Is this one that's properly designed for DS?
Oh God, no. And in fact, Capcom's been threatening, if you don't buy this one, maybe we won't give you the one that was made for DS.
Yeah.
But the good news is it is better than the second one. The bad news is it's still a GBA port with no new additional content. But if you've been a fan of the franchise all along, this is like the end of Phoenix Wright's story, and the final case is like a throw everything at the wall. Every character you've ever seen comes back.
Crazed woman busts into the courtroom and guns him down in a hail of bullets.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The last case.
Wait, really?
No.
Okay, good.
But if you've been following it, you want to.
I don't even follow Phoenix Wright, and I was about to be pissed off at you for
if you've been following
it,
you want to see it through. But like some of the scores you're going to see for this game are from obvious Phoenix Wright fanboys who enjoy watching the same fucking canned budget animations that you've been seeing for the last 4 years.
But you're not going to see many bad scores for this game.
No.
I mean, my mom has played through both Phoenix Wright games.
Whoa,
really?
Yeah,
then
all the way through.
Then your mom will enjoy this one. And
wow.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it.
John's mom plus 20.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't wait for like Apollo Ace or whatever the new one is, like the actual DS one. Like Capcom, bring that shit out.
It's not Phoenix Wright.
No, he left. It's a new attorney.
He left.
He's gone to wander the world. He's going to go travel around the world
and like
see sights.
Exactly. Personal journey of discovery. I think the new one is Apollo Justice or something. The other game that
Apollo Justice?
Apollo Justice.
For real?
I think the other game I got to play.
It's Law and Order branded. Actually, it's Law and Order Apollo Justice.
Oh,
is a PSN title that's coming out in mid-November that I'd seen previously called Pain. And
that's what it's called.
The jackassy thing.
It's not Poo or Splat.
It's Pain.
Pain.
Yeah.
And I hadn't played it until today.
It might be Poo or Splat, though.
But I got to say, like, the graphics had turned me off. I really didn't like the graphics. I really hated the art.
And you still do because it is the same fucking looking game.
No, he's in love with it now.
However, okay, like I say,
you jackass! Don't know.
What?
No.
You're telling me what to think?
Yes, because it's the same thing.
Okay, I don't like the art.
Okay.
However,
yes.
It is
visually.
It is fun and addictive in the same way that Burnout Crash Mode or Flat Out's crazy minigames are.
Oh my God!
Somewhere Alex Ward is right now going, "You motherfucker!"
Shane, seriously?
Seriously, dude.
Seriously?
Like, I'm not saying it's great, and it's going to be a $10 game, but after playing it today,
Mark looks so
about to die.
He's like, he's got his eyes closed. He's rubbing the bridge.
Honestly, what I look like is what Brian looked like when I walked into the demo today, which Brian was just like, I'm going to watch Shane try to grab a hold of the bowling ball for the fucking 20th time.
The problem with it is there's a huge learning curve. I mean, like, a colossal learning curve to this game.
Which is great for pick up and play arcade games.
But like, if you do figure it out, there's like a lot of depth to it, but the learning curve is colossal.
The first alarm bell for me on this game was when they announced it by saying that it was brainstormed by the marketing department.
Yes, marketing department.
They did mention that again today during the demo.
Kids are very hot on watching people in pain. Like that. There's an MTV show apparently where kids break their fucking ankle.
That show's disgusting.
Yeah, like skateboarding. It's
called scar tissue or something.
Yeah.
I think.
And so it's like, hey, maybe there's a game in this. And I will give Sony credit for trying something different because this game it's kind of not a game.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little playground, you know?
It's kind of a little playground. Yeah. However, I expect in a playground that there's just more shit to do. There's more stuff to do. Like, watching you play it was just like,
he was launching himself into the manhole.
That's right. That's as good as it got. Was like
now. Does it move around or is it always in the same place? Is it always in the same?
It sounds like the version that's coming out in November is one environment with multiple different contests you can do in that environment, and more environments coming later as microtransactions.
Yeah.
As conceived by the marketing department.
Yeah, but so I'm saying I don't like the way it looks, and like there's a huge learning curve. But by the end of it,
so why are you telling us about it?
By the end of it, I did kind of want to keep playing it. Weirdly addictive. I don't know.
But how much is it selling for?
$9.99.
And
I wish it was more like $5.99. But
hey, if it was conceived by the marketing department, can't they just wrap it in some fucking brand and give it away?
They could slap some Mountain Dew on that shit and be done with it.
Like
I'd play it.
I will admit, while you're watching it, like there's a couple like, oh yeah, look, like
Slim Jim. This game was designed for Slim Jim and Mountain Dew.
Mm-hmm. But
I'm not in love. I'm kind of like begrudgingly want to play it again. So I'll say that.
All right. You got anything else to regale us with?
That's it, dude.
Disgust in Garnet's dripping off of Garnet's
However,
voice.
I do need to remind you, I'm not going to be here next week because I'll be playing 2 Human.
Oh, shit.
With my good friend Dennis Dye.
I am jealous.
St. Catherine, Canada.
I am jealous.
So I'll be able to talk about that in 2 weeks.
I'm very curious.
Why did I even bother with the Radio Shack stopwatch that's now telling me we've been doing this segment for 56 minutes?
Let's take a little break.
World record. Jesus Christ.
All right. So there you go. That's what happens when you have Epic Games Must Be fourth quarter. If you stick around, we will be right back with message boards and some rumors. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with that. You're listening to the One Up Yours podcast on the One Up Radio Network.
Brought to you by the Entertainment Consumers Association. A single voice may not be heard, but a collective voice cannot be ignored. Speak up and keep your favorite games on the shelves. Join the ECA at www.theeca.com.
All right, and we're back, and what we're going to do in this segment is we're going to start off with some threads from the message boards, which are kind of interesting. I've gathered some. You guys are in the dark about these, aren't you? It's going to be interesting. You're going to enjoy them. And then in the second part, we have rumors.
The way you shook that paper at us was very.
Did Garnet find a secret message board that we don't look at?
NGR. No. Nobody looks at it anymore. They've all been banned.
Let me get ready for these.
I don't think one beer is going to do enough. All right, here we go. So first up, this post is from Demon All, who said, so last night I finally beat Halo, Combat Evolved, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, my God.
This is a little late to the party.
This is a late to the party question. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Tell me this is not, like, so what's the big deal?
No, the question is, so has anyone beaten a game months or even years after it's come out? And if so, is the reason why it took them so long to beat it? Then we got some interesting answers. Now, there were plenty of, we got a lot of common answers, which was the whole, Zelda, it takes too long, Final Fantasy, I lost interest, or it takes too long, Devil May Cry, I got sidetracked in 2, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But there was some, there was the one that I'm going to bring out, which was Northern Gamer's response, who said, I do that all the time. I bought so many games that I never got around to playing. I'll bet it's less than half of the games on my shelf that I've actually beaten. We, once upon a time, remember, I'm going to do the pile of shame.
Oh, yes.
Especially for Shane and John, where do you guys stand on that question now?
On what?
On how are you doing with games? Are you beating games? How many games are still left that you'd like to have beaten? How many?
The games I'm playing, I have this sort of serial monogamy thing going on with the way I'm playing lately, where if it's beatable, I'm picking a game and playing it till I beat it. So I did that with Prey, and then I did it with BioShock, and something like PGI you can't really beat. And a lot of the racing games you just playing to exhaustion.
Well, now someone's going to jump in right now and say, "Oh, you could play to 100%."
But yeah. But
you're going to beat Halo 3.
I might die before I did that in Forza. So
you're going to beat Halo 3.
I'm going to beat Halo 3.
All right.
I'm going to beat Mass. I mean, the thing that's stopping me continuing with Halo 3 is I'm playing Mass Effect, and I want to play Mass Effect 3 to the end. But like, for me personally, that's kind of how I'm playing. I think what a lot of the people do is they'll buy 2 or 3 games over a period of time, and they'll play a bunch. They'll play the online mode, and then sort of drift. I can kind of see where he's coming from.
Right.
But I remember with Halo Combat Evolved specifically because it was just the right length to finish in a few nights. Like if you like made a concerted effort for 3 or 4 hours a night, you could beat it sort of starting on Friday night and finish by the end of the weekend.
And a lot of people, and I think Garnet, I think you were one of these. Only now that Halo 3 came out, a ton of people have talked to me and said, like, Halo 2, I played it up until Little Shop of Horrors, the Gravemind appeared.
No,
a lot of people said that to me, like, just in these past couple weeks, and they're like, yeah, this one I'm actually finishing. I didn't really play Halo 2. Maybe I should go back and do it. But they stopped at that. They were like, all right, you know what? Fuck this shit. They like put their hands up. They're like, nope, not gonna do it.
I got about a dozen messages on Xbox Live of what the hell are you playing Halo 2 for when Halo 3 came out. It was because that I absolutely would cop to that. That was mine that was like this. I did not finish Halo 2 when it came out, and I made myself finish Halo 2 before playing Halo 3, which was kind of cool because it made a nice like smooth transition from I knew exactly where we were at, and I picked it right up, and there was a real I'll tell you one thing, like I have complained about their story, and I'm not relenting on that. I don't think the story is particularly great, but the continuity from 2 to 3 in the way that they knitted together did actually work pretty well.
But like you're in a select minority there that you just finished Halo 2.
Yeah, if you didn't just finish 2, you wouldn't have gotten that.
There is no catch up in Halo 3.
No,
there
not
is
at all.
No,
I agree.
Hey, here's what happened. Here's what you missed. They
had opportunities to do it too.
Well, they did, and it's actually in the instruction booklet. If you read the instruction booklet,
great.
Which no one does.
Everybody reads instructions.
Right, but they completely are just like, it's not like Harry Potter or any good book where they kind of catch you up to where they are. It's just like, hey, you know what? Fucking shit's happening. Stuff's moving mile a minute. Like I didn't just finish Halo 2, just watch the cutscenes in the limited edition. Like you are lost. Fuck you guys.
True.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, I have a disheartening number of games I haven't finished. I probably have more unfinished games than finished games because I have a lot of games.
I definitely do. Yeah.
But I do enjoy finishing games, and like when I'm reviewing games, I always try to beat them. And on a recent podcast, someone called me out for not finishing Twilight Princess. I'm in the last dungeon, and my save isn't compatible. Same with Metroid Prime 3. I'm in the last level. My save isn't compatible.
So I think it says more about the game than the reviewer, especially with you and Twilight Princess, because that Triforce quest. How many people said,
Are you talking about...
Allow me to throw Demon All's
I'm sorry,
not Wind Waker.
I'm talking about Wind Waker.
Well, the same deal happened. Like with Wind Waker, I got to the Triforce quest, and I watched somebody else beat the last boss because I didn't have time.
So I am talking about Wind Waker, which you also did not finish.
Right. Well, because when you're on deadline and you have like 4 days to fucking beat Zelda, you do what you can.
So which factor do you think is more important? Because Damon will ask a couple of questions, but basically what he's asking is, does it come down to, are you not interested enough to play the game, or was the game too difficult and you needed more skill?
I very rarely stop playing a game, I lose interest. For me, it's usually because I'm trying to review it under a deadline and I run out of time. If I play a game for my own personal use, I play through it. And sometimes, like what happened with me with Metal Gear Solid 2, when it came out, I was really busy doing a strategy, so I didn't get time to play it. So when I finally got around to playing it, I played like a laser beam, like all the way through from beginning to end, had a great time. So like I think when like this weekend, hopefully I'll finish one of these games I talked about, like Halo.
Well, I said this a long time ago. Is like now I have a pile of shame, but the pile of shame is no longer games that I started and didn't finish. It's just games that I haven't played. It's just games that are sitting there. Like the ones that kill me every time I look at them is the Shin Megami Tensei PS2 games. I look at those and I go, I know I would love these games.
You should play Persona 3.
I should play Digital Devil.
Play Persona 3. Like the others are
They're all good.
Yeah,
they're all.
If you're gonna play one, play Persona 3.
Anyway, but that's what I'm saying is I have that stack of games like that, like DMC3 also in that stack.
It is a thing though, and
you're never going to beat the original version of Devil May Cry 3.
Yeah, you're not.
You need a special edition.
You're not, but it is a thing, and it is with us, especially when you work on a monthly magazine or a website. You get kind of swept away by the next thing, and then you just don't have time to go back. It's less so when you don't work in the gaming industry, but I think it's still there. It's like when all your friends are playing it, you're like, yeah, you're playing Halo 3, but if for whatever reason something happens, you don't finish it, you get on to the next thing, then it kind of goes into that pile you think you're going to always play, but then you don't.
John, last word? Okay. Next one is from Danger Step. Danger Step says that he's given it some thought. He's never recalled anyone writing about what new developments have come about that have wound up being bad for gaming. So this is like the contrast to all the things that we see always reported that are good for gaming developments, whether they're like improving hardware.
I think you could argue that so far microtransactions have been bad for gaming.
Well, I tell you what, you're not alone there because let me find out. That would be Rigby. Rigby, who brought that up, said, I can't believe no one has brought up ridiculous microtransaction and charging for cheat codes, wallpapers, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like
Definitely
Tetris
bad.
Splash, which just came out like a week ago, which is the first online Tetris Xbox Live Arcade game. On the same day, like all these different pieces of downloadable fish content came out. If you want to buy like the guppy, it's like a certain amount of points. If you want to buy this other fish, it's like do we need that? No.
Well, something everyone talks about too is with the Wii, and this is not. I'm not saying that this is the case, but a lot of the arguments right now is like, okay, is this rise of casual gaming bad for gamer people,
that
hardcore
was
gamer
a
people?
Very strong sentiment in this thread. As a matter of fact, Crispy, who everyone knows on our boards, one of our mods, immediately threw up a picture of a kid on the Wii board, the Wii, what do they call the
balance board?
The balance
Wii
board.
Fit board now.
The Wii Fit board, doing like a soccer header pose, with the ball on, showing the Wii on the screen.
Wii Fit is kind of fun, I think.
But what is the impact of casual games going to be on gaming? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Could you conceivably see it as a bad thing?
Well, like the argument is, especially with Nintendo and the Wii specifically, not casual games in general. Like, I think everybody kind of agrees, okay, the more people who are playing games, my mom's playing games, that's good,
But the Wii simplified home console game.
Well, with the Wii, it actually is, okay, Nintendo first party has a certain amount of resources. If they are, if they're focusing those on facial, like,
beauty navigation software.
Yeah, and that means that we're maybe not getting, Metroid or Zelda or whatever. I mean, those are bad examples.
Mach Rider 2.
Right, yeah, exactly. And that's not exactly proven. It's not that easy to say, okay, this is taking from that, but it is, Nintendo has the DS, they have the Wii, they have the hardcore, they have the casual. As that stuff is succeeding more and more, this is their AAA guys that are thinking like, hey, how can I get my wife? I mean, that was a theme at GDC last year, was like, wow, how can I get my wife to play this game? How can I get my kid to play this game? And that could, I guess, potentially take away from, like, how can I get the guy who loves to play Zelda to play the new Zelda game?
Another Zelda?
On the flip side, though, I'm saying that, like, I think, the advancements we've seen in the last 20 years since I've been playing games, on large, are great, and I'm glad we have them.
Yes.
So I'm not, like,
I think this whole, all the Wii is taking down game, it's just the super hardcore, like, getting needy. I mean, it's like...
That's a good point.
That's all it is. I mean, like, there's gonna... But, I mean...
like, John, like, I own a Wii. Like, Shane, you own a Wii. Garnet, we all own a Wii here. So
I don't own a Wii.
Really?
No.
All right. So the rest of us own a Wii.
I got plenty of Wii right here, brother.
I mean, I think
buying and excited for on the Wii.
I think the problem would be if you're someone who like bought a Wii thinking this is all I need. I don't need a 360. I don't need a PS3. Then you're like trying to like reevaluate your life and be like, yes, I like carnival games. It's okay. I don't need good graphics. Like those people, that's the problem.
I mean, hardcore gamers. I mean, the Wii just isn't. I don't think it is. It is the machine for them.
No, does that mean I'm a hardcore gamer?
Yes. Yeah. It does. And like.
But if you have a family or you live with a bunch of people that aren't real gamers, there's a ton of stuff on the Wii that
very true.
It's a social games machine the way that the other two aren't.
I think it's problematic for people who consider themselves hardcore gamers who are stuck with the Wii. That's the problem.
So let's chalk that up as a could go either way depending on your slant. Let's look at a couple of other things here. Rouge2 said that it's bad for games when Genesis games cost so goddamn much that I had the same 3 or 4 games for over a year and had to go to my spoiled friend's house to play NBA Jam. And aren't we worried about something similar to that happening in this generation?
Games have cost the same forever.
No, they're actually costing more now.
No, they're not.
But if you adjust it for inflation,
I still remember the day I walked into EB and saw Virtua Racing for $99.99 in Genesis. So shut the fuck up, brat.
I thought you were gonna say like Phantasy
Star 4. So shut the fuck up, brat.
Okay, what about
Hush.
Jesus says that if we lose the small games and the small developers that innovate, then I don't think video games are going to go anywhere.
But we're not losing.
Flip
the
side,
small.
everyday shooter, one dude made it. All right,
so that's to the point now where there's this indie gaming snobbery that's starting to evolve. The way that there's sort of indie music and indie movie snobbery. I mean, when have we ever been able to say that about the video games industry?
There's definitely been years in the past where like things have there have been great gaming years in the past, but by and large, in general, like especially with downloadable games now, things are better than they have ever been because exactly of what that point. Like indie developers, smaller developers can get their games made and seen and delivered without having to worry about, competing against the AAA $50, $60 shelf space at EB games because, hey, you can make a $10 game now and be successful. Geometry Wars,
Pain.
I'm just going to pretend you didn't say that.
Yeah, he put a damper on that. So let's move on. Spidey William Jackson asked us this. He said, we all know the campaign duration of games seems to be dropping, at least in first-person shooters from a few years ago. Black was around 8 hours, blah, 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 blah. So what I don't understand is why do people complain that games are too short unless they are only playing on the default or lower difficulty settings? So what are you basically what he's asking?
He's honest with me. I think this generation we are getting a little closer to like the 8 to 10 hour experience being the norm for a single player game.
Okay,
that's true, but
which is a little less than last generation.
Or less for crap like Heavenly Sword.
You know what? I don't even feel any need to defend it. I am enjoying it. I'm having fun with it, and I'm happy with that.
Don't be ashamed of your enjoyment.
I'm perfectly fine with it.
But the whole shorter game thing.
It's better when you're mad.
The whole shorter game thing, like, it's not so much of a problem anymore. Like, I'm one of those guys that I do like remember when Final Fantasy 3 or 6, whatever you want to call it, was like 30 hours. But now, like, we talk about this all the time.
It was more 60 hours, dude. Actually, 40 to 50.
Dude,
60 hours is a lot of entertainment.
To get everything. To get everything,
maybe like 32 hours to actually finish the game. But anyway, as the audience is getting older, like it's becoming more of like a casual thing. Like that is something where it's just like, hey, Halo 3 is like a lot of people are like, yeah, it's about 8 to 10 hours, on a lot of people. It didn't feel at all to me. It's all relative. It's just like when we talked about Metal Gear and Metal Gear Online. It's all relative.
None of us expect a 100-hour single-player game. Do you ever really? No.
Actually, in a lot
I don't
of
really
people,
want one.
Right, more and more. Like, John, I know you're this way.
Yeah.
When you hear, like, 50-hour plus gameplay, you're like, what the fuck? No.
Eyes roll back in the head, right?
I mean, what time do you normally get home from work?
9.
8, 9? Yeah? Typically.
We'll say
9 o'clock.
9:30.
And what time do you get to sleep? Like 12, 1?
12:30.
Right.
If I'm not in bed by 12:30,
so between
I can't get up.
Getting home at 9 and falling asleep, you gotta do whatever you need to do. You gotta, have a wank. Make some dinner.
Pancake and a smoke.
Yeah. And then, how much time is left? Like maybe 2 hours.
But it's funny because
it's about an hour.
But I do remember being like 13 years old and loving games that were 80 hours long.
Right. Well, that's
like
different.
My summer vacation is
because
here.
You got home from school at 3:30.
Right, but it's a difference of perspective.
Yeah, but when you for an adult, particularly like if an M-rated game is only 10 hours long. It can last you a couple of weeks.
So we got some excellent response from the board posters on this one. First of all, let me just throw in, for what we're talking about, a poster named Kevy Rain put up, for me, it's not about how much the game cost me or how long it was. It's about how I feel about it in the end that matters.
Right.
If I'm satisfied with the game after completing it in 4 hours, then I'm happy. But if I had to grind my way through for 20-plus hours and it all felt like work, I'm going to hate the game.
Yeah. Same
That's
thing.
a really really
right. I mean,
good
look at Prey. You plod through Prey. It takes about 10 hours, and the ending is so meh. You're like,
I walked through some vaginas.
I liked Prey.
I mean, obviously you have different expectations when you buy an RPG than when you play a first-person shooter than when you play something like Portal. Like, it really is all relative.
Let me throw out some other opinions just to bust off the end of this conversation. First of all, Future Nobody said that difficulty settings should not artificially lengthen a game.
Yep.
Which is actually a good point. Difficulty settings should actually be balancing it so that you can enjoy playing the game. I agree with him on that. Devil in Darkness said, sometimes I think games, especially shooters, are getting too multiplayer-centric, and that he'd rather have a long, engaging single player than a short 8-hour story where all the emphasis was then thrown onto making it a multiplayer game that was...
BioShock.
Exactly, but there are games that get very much caught in that middle ground of
BioShock and The Darkness both were very,
Well, I would say The Darkness actually falls into that trap of we have to put some multiplayer in it because BioShock doesn't have multiplayer.
Yeah, but did anybody play it?
Right. I mean, that's
right, but they put resources into it.
The Medal of Honor games are always kind of that way. It's like, you kind of expect that they have multiplayer, but does anyone really play it?
It's not it's a first-person shooter. Therefore, if we don't have multiplayer, people are going to give us a hard time. But it's like, I'm glad that in BioShock they didn't even pretend. It was just like, this is a narrative story.
Fully agree. It was a good decision. They were stuck to their guns and did what they were going to do. And Gortron says that replayability is much more important than game's life. An 8-hour game makes me want to play it 2 or 3 times. Then 8 hours suddenly isn't so short, is it?
This is true.
So,
well, I mean, playing through even just the beginning of Mass Effect, I'm already looking. I know that I'm going to want to go back and play with a completely different character.
And we brought up BioShock, and if there's a disappointment about BioShock, it's that as flexible as the world is, after you think about it, it's not all that compelling to go back through and play it more than maybe twice.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get through it the first time.
Oh, man, how can you be struggling? Oh, my God.
Well, Halo came along. I was at TGS for 2 weeks, and then Halo came along.
Yeah,
I have it sitting on my coffee table.
I'm starting to... I mean, it's a little off topic, but I am starting to think that there was people got whipped up into too much of a fervor on BioShock.
Oh, you think?
You think? Maybe?
But a lot of people were like, oh, this is definitely...
Were you here for the discussion where Garner was like, can any game possibly beat BioShock Game of the Year? I don't think so.
Yeah, the whole Game of the Year thing.
Wait a minute, tell me what game's going to beat it.
I don't know, maybe Mario or Halo or...
Halo is definitely not going to beat... Wait a minute. Halo is definitely not going to beat BioShock in my book, at least.
Okay. I should finish playing BioShock.
I don't subscribe to your book, so it's okay.
That's fine. You don't have to, but I'm just telling you that Halo does not do for me what BioShock did
in single player
as a game. A game, I finished Halo 3.
Right.
I've played it on multiplayer, and for the last 2 nights, and yesterday I took a comp day, I played Heavenly Sword and I played Final Fantasy 12. Because that was what was more appealing to me than Halo 3.
I'm not entering into that discussion.
I'm just saying that that's where I'm coming from.
I have to finish BioShock before I can fully engage you in that. But what about you haven't played Orange Box yet, have you?
I haven't played Orange Box, and I'm dying to. But the reason I didn't jump straight into Orange Box is that by the time I was through with Halo 2 and Halo 3, I was a little first-person shooter weary, and I needed a break from that.
Fair enough.
Or Rock Band, it's a GOTY competitor for me.
There's plenty of shit still.
There's plenty of stuff still. I would completely agree. Right. There's plenty of stuff. Okay, so now we've moved past that, and now we're into the rumor mill.
Rumor mongering.
And we know this would kind of have Shane to blame, because Shane, in case there's anyone who didn't know out there, Shane is our paparazzi-loving entertainment.
I don't know if you've been watching TMZ on TV. It is phenomenal.
By the way, what's your take? How's Brittany going to wind up with the kids here? Is she gonna be?
I think Brittany's about to take her own life, and it's going to be awesome.
Oh,
I bought Gimme More.
Whoa. Brittany taking her own life would not be awesome.
Okay, that's not awesome.
That would be very sad.
But I did.
We had to put that message out there for the kids. Wait. If Brittany took her own life,
that would not be awesome.
One of yours would be very sad.
I did purchase Gimme More on iTunes. It's the #1 song on iTunes.
Good for you.
If only to support her downward spiral into depravity.
Not good for you. I don't even want to fucking jump in there.
Anyway, yeah, rumors are hot.
All right,
business.
I'm telling you, it's definitely been driven by hardware, because the hardware war, if anyone had any doubts about all of our talk about hardware wars, the hardware war is on in earnest.
The rumors have been driven by hardware because the companies aren't very good at keeping their secrets anymore.
Well, number one, they're not good at keeping secrets, and number two, if you didn't think that this Christmas season is hardware war battle royale, you are fucking nuts. It is on. Did you
notice earlier this week when Reggie at Nintendo was like, yeah, you're not going to be able to find one. You better give up hope now.
Oh, Halo, people already, that's selling to people who already own the system.
It's already.
And if you want a Wii, can't find one.
Yeah.
It is on in a big way. So let's just start off with the PlayStation rumors. So we've been talking about PlayStation price for a long time. There's been multiple rumors
we all wanted a price drop, and so we got a price correction-ish.
Yes. So the price correction, the 20 gig went away, then the
60 gig became the 20.
Right, 60 gig became 20 gig. Now the rumor is, we'll keep in even increments of 20 gig per hard drive. Now we're going to do apparently a 40 gig PS3
at the rumored price of $399, which would be kind of a magic price.
That would be a really magic price,
right?
Wouldn't it? I mean,
would it with a pack-in?
With
I don't think we'd have a pack-in.
Spider-Man 3 packed in on Blu-ray disc is the American pack-in, presumably.
Does the Blu-ray movie matter to you?
Spider-Man 3 was a very popular film.
Yeah, give them something. Give them something.
Something to do.
For God's sake, they need to at
least
do that.
I always bought my Bazooka bubble gum because it had the little comic strip in there. That was awesome. I'd open it up. I'd be no
one is going to complain a $100 less price point with a free movie is a bad thing.
It's not the movie. It's the $100 less price point.
That's important.
Right?
Absolutely not a bad thing, but it isn't enough. That is the question. For God's sake, they need to at least do that.
I think everyone agrees that this is a good decision. However, this news report from Sky, which is a European news site, shed some bizarre, half-truths. Who knows what they're saying about this?
So I need some correction on the citing European resources. Sony just restructured so that each of the territories is completely independent now. So in America, they can announce a 40 gig PS3, and they will do it. It's going to come very soon. And we don't know what the actual makeup of the hardware is, but the FCC filing has already been made. Right. It's coming. But the fact that SCEA is doing that does not mean that SCEE is going to do that because they're no longer linked.
Your P&L responsibility is now on each regional manager.
Yeah. But the news out of Europe is that a 40 gig SKU in Europe could hit Spain or France as early as next week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is what we talked about before. If they don't do something like that in Europe, all they're doing is inviting people to import, and we know how they feel about that. I mean, they get their knickers all in a wad whenever people want to do that.
Listen, Sony this fall.
I don't think that's the correct expression.
What's the correct expansion?
Knickers in a twist.
Oh, knickers all in a twist whenever people do that.
Garnet, like you were saying, this fall is the battleground. Look, Halo 3 came out. Fucking pull out the stops, lose some money, do whatever the fuck it takes, but it's time to fucking get serious. It is really time to get serious.
Right.
They need games, but they also need to drop the price point because Mass Effect is coming, other shit is coming. They need to fucking step up.
And this is exactly what this new SKU is. But then there's these weird rumors swirling around this SKU.
Well, so the first one that came out is really... I thought that was very odd. The first rumor that came out, and the strongest rumor we've heard, is that this new PS3 would have no backwards compatibility.
Which is asinine.
It's completely stupid.
How would that happen? It's all software now.
Sony went through all the trouble to change their backwards compatibility from being hardware-based to software-based to not include it in the system. No, that is crazy fucking misinformation. I don't know who started it.
Fuck that rumor. End of story.
I can tell you who
don't talk about it anymore.
I'm just going to throw out there. You know who I think started it? Microsoft. Why not? Because where else would you get a crazy rumor like that?
Let's not give it any more credence.
It's done.
All right,
let's go.
So the other rumors that have been out there, and maybe this is part of their cost-cutting measures, is some stuff like that it would not be compatible with a memory card reader, which is kind of an odd thing.
Who cares?
It seems lame and improbable, yeah.
But what I do buy is that they might go back to not having all of the different ports.
Right, so it would have not have the...
it would have a memory stick duo port, but not a compact flash or whatever the fuck they call it.
Possibly
micro SD and all that stuff.
And potentially 2 USB ports instead of 4.
See, that I don't get. That, I mean, how much is a fucking...
It's a
USB hole.
All of this stuff, honestly...
Well, I'll just say this. I mean, I am, as people will note, I am not a super huge gear guy, but I do pay attention to gear, and I can tell you this. Every time I've ever built a computer or whatever, USB ports always came in pairs. So maybe it just means that you're putting one less USB chip on there.
No one's.
I think USB chips works in pairs.
The $2 that cost Sony, like really?
and even if it happens, who's plugging that much USB shit into your PS3?
You know, if you're putting in like a headset and an iToy
or whatever it's called.
Okay, that's two.
PlayStation Eye.
Yeah.
So put a USB hub on there.
I think that's the only semi-believable one. The backwards compatibility rumor is bullshit. I call that now.
Yeah.
So overall, if they do that, what do you think? Big impact, small impact, $399 PS3.
The timing is right. It's a good move. It's what they need to do.
I think the person or the place this puts the most pressure is Microsoft, because now you're trying to sell elites.
Dude, they need games. That's not gonna. That's good that they're doing that. It's not gonna matter worth shit if they do not have the game. I don't think
anybody believes in a million years that PS3 is gonna win this holiday. Of course it isn't. Like duh. But next year MGS, Final Fantasy, who knows when. It's a long battle, and this price point is a good price point. It's a good time to make the move.
All right, so let's talk about the new Xbox 360 packages, because they too have been leaked across several sources.
So they leaked in Europe forever ago, and we always wondered, would we get these here? It looks like we are.
So we've seen there was a Best Buy webpage leak that was subsequently pulled that had Elite and Premium holiday bundles that included Forza 2 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
That's a weird one to me.
Is there like a stockpile of Marvel Ultimate Alliance somewhere? Because it's been packed in with everything now.
Well, the question is it the new version or the original version? Because they did re-release that game with like some of the Xbox Live Arcade download stuff built into it.
Really?
These could be the leftover versions of the original that were sitting in some warehouse. Seriously.
What you got lying around, guys?
Viva Pinata?
Yeah, they have a lot of that.
So what's the price? What all do you get for that?
So those would be at the standard, Elite, and Premium prices. So you would get two packed-in games to go with it for the same price.
It's a good deal.
The next one is at the Core, eliminating the Core title, which I think is actually a good idea because Core does kind of have it doesn't really sound great.
Are they putting a hard drive in it?
No.
Oh.
But they're going to rename the Core the Arcade.
Oh.
And the package, so that at least the rumored package is it would include a 256 meg memory card. The new model would have an HDMI output, and it would have a disc that came with it that had 5 arcade games on it. It would now be called the Arcade Pack.
Ooh, how about putting a hard drive instead, huh?
Yeah, that's all well and good. It doesn't make up for the fact they fucked up.
They enjoy splintering their market into giant splinters.
Well, but you've already started to see we've already heard very strongly that they're going to be games that are hard drive optimized. So
that's a good idea, huh?
Well, yeah, optimizing for hard drive? You don't think so?
For unoptimizing for some of your consumers, like giving some of your consumers a downgraded or degraded experience.
It was stupid not to have a fucking hard drive with that.
Well, now you're into the price point
but they can correct it now, and instead of correcting it, they're not.
They can't correct it. It's too late. They cannot correct it.
You're right. No, actually, Mark is right. Mark, they cannot connect.
Well, they can't undo what they've done, but moving forward, they could put a hard drive in this unit. They really could.
But it doesn't matter. The damage is done.
This reminds me of they should have put a second stick on the PSP thing. It's like, it's done. This generation, Xbox is going to... It's splintered forever.
Yep.
It is absolutely done.
But I'm buying the whole arcade thing. It makes sense.
I'm absolutely
It sounds better than Core.
It's a better position.
It sounds better than Core. It's much more marketable. It sounds much better.
And it's exactly like Microsoft to name something the exact same thing as they've named something else, like the live stuff that they've got going on.
I can fully see Bell telling us next E3 about how great the arcade pack is done.
Right.
And having the super cheap SKU with Halo 3 and Madden out there.
So what's the price, Robot, on that one?
It was saying $279. So it'd be the same price point.
It's not quite so super cheap when PS3 is $399 and the one with no hard drive and no game.
$120 less. That's $120 less, Shane.
Yeah,
come on, dude. That's serious money.
Well, one of them plays HD movies, one of them doesn't.
Yeah, but guess what? No one who just wants to fucking play GTA 4 gives a fucking shit.
It comes with an HD movie, and that is Spider-Man 3.
No one gives a shit who just wants to play Madden or GTA 4.
Yeah, and you saw the stupid stats we saw of how few people are actually even playing or even aware that their console is HD capable.
Dude, how many HDTV owners don't even know what they have?
I know, it's scary, isn't it?
All right, so here's something that they should do is just start shipping the damn thing with an HD cable. So when you take it out of the box and plug it into your TV, you can watch it in HD.
Absolutely.
I'd take that over the copy of Spider-Man 3.
Absolutely. PS3 should absolutely be required to come with that. And then the final thing about 360 is, what the fuck is up with the 65 nanometer or the Falcon chipset?
I've heard various reports. Are they in stores? Are they not in stores?
The reality is, I don't understand. I mean, I guess I understand that Microsoft is not coming clean over this subject because they want to help their retailers move through the stock that they have on the shelves. But we've even seen, so there's a couple of users on forums who have hooked up voltmeters to their 360s to show how much draw there is because basically if you had a smaller die, that's going to have a lower
Where have they hooked up the voltmeter?
They've actually torn open the box.
No one. Okay, listen.
Who gives a fucking shit?
Exactly. So, can we just put it this way? Like, the Halo Limited Edition 360s run quieter, right?
They do.
Okay.
That's it. And the conjecture has actually been that it's because of a quieter DVD drive. It has nothing to do with the actual fans or any of that stuff.
Who cares? Whatever. Yeah. The Xbox 360 is loud as shit.
Can we all agree that the Halo Limited Edition is overpriced?
And ugly?
Why? For the 50th millionth time, why does it only have the small hard drive on it?
I
love the color. Green and orange are my favorite colors.
And something that came out that was interesting to me.
You like that? I think it's hideous.
I think it's atrocious.
I like it.
Actually, seeing it in person, the thing itself is kind of like meh, but the hard drive itself is actually really fucking cool.
Oh, the copper-colored.
Yeah, it's got the copper on it. And
what did come to light that I was curious to find out, because of the situation I have, is that only if you buy the Elite do you get the extra dongle that lets you plug in an optical cable through the old AV connector. So in other words, if you don't have an AV switching receiver and you want to do 5.1, you have to buy an extra cable that lets you hook up an optical connection to your 360.
Wow.
Which is shitty.
Well, I got a little lost in there, but I'm going to trust you on that one. We'll just move on.
Trust me,
okay.
It's shitty.
Man, the hardware world is very confusing.
It's really stupid.
It's gotten confusing.
When can we look forward to a new version of Wii?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask Mr. Mark McDonald because he was the one who clued me in on the rumors resurfacing again from Reggie's old, and I guess there have been other comments within Nintendo that they could conceivably build a HD-capable Wii.
Well, and this is Luke's favorite. Like, he promised. Yeah, Luke Smith, swore that by the end, I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but by the end of next year...
We should have a Luke watch. Just saying.
We have Luke coming up in the news, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was always of the opinion that Nintendo would announce a Wii that would be HD capable, but that, to me, and that rumor persists. It's out there everywhere on the internet, but to me that seems crazy. Everything Nintendo is doing now...
Those graphics look bad enough in standard def. I don't want to see them in high def.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
So you can see, like, the sharp edges on your Mii. You can see, like, your mustache, like the jaggy lines on your Mii's mustache.
They can't just do a Wii that spits out HD, because to spit out HD, it needs to do 4 times as much of everything.
And what that Nintendo is doing now is not working. What is going to tell them, you know what?
Whoa,
you better do something new for other consumers.
Hold on.
You can't make enough of what you're already making to fucking
right. How is what
people.
They're doing not working? What they're doing right now is working fucking
That's what I'm saying.
Well, Mark, do you think they're...
That's what I'm saying.
Do you think they really can't make enough, or do you think they're not making enough on purpose?
Well, no. I think there is definitely something to that. There is definitely
really, because
a toy like Reggie, like, did we not make enough?
When Reggie announces in advance, you can't get one.
Dude, I got to tell you, that is.
You better buy it the day you see it at Best Buy. It might not be there tomorrow.
Maybe buy 2.
I'm not gonna. You know what? I will buy the marketing side of hyping that. But as far as the actual corporate side of business, if you have demand that's high, you make as many as you can to satisfy that demand, because you want to keep pushing those sales. You never starve it out.
But
I don't think
you want that sale.
I don't think Wii HD is going to happen. I really don't.
I don't either.
I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it.
No one's buying it. If only Luke was still here.
2009.
I'm not buying.
Yeah,
I don't even think. Do you even think then, like with Wii, it's going to be a whole different life cycle?
I think the Wii is a twice as bright, half as long type situation.
It's like a supernova.
Wii HDS.
I think
Wii HDS.
I don't know what it'll be, but I think the Wii bubble's going to burst early.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of the hardware. I think the PS3 is going to last a long time.
Also, the really weirdly competitive nature of Wii, like every third party is competing with Nintendo and they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and no one's really come up with the next evolution. I mean,
whatever there is instead of E3 for 2009. New Nintendo console.
I think they'll talk about it there, but I don't think it'll come out till 2010.
The Wii games have not really matured. I mean, they haven't matured like the DS line did. No one has done anything.
Well, it's still pretty early. I mean, we're not even a year out, dude. But
that's true. That's a very good point. We're not that far out.
Wait, what are you talking about? We're probably going to get cats and dogs and horses and hamsters on Wii.
They all come out. They all come out next month. Actually, including dolphins.
Iteration.
Who has a dolphin as a pet? Seriously, Ubisoft. What the fuck?
But haven't you always wanted one?
Not really.
Dolphins are badass.
You want to fuck them?
And
Heyo. All right.
That blowhole. Wow.
Oh my God, I cannot take you to the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
I've been.
What other rumors?
You've been banned.
Monterey after hours.
Garnet,
although I will say that I think my Xbox 720 gonna happen sooner than you think.
I don't even
actually
know what that means.
With the rumors about Bungie, that kind of makes you wonder what's going on.
Well, it does make you wonder what's going on, and so that's where we're going to wrap up the whole rumor mill.
Wait. I want to go before we do the Bungie one. I want to go back to this because BioWare have already said that they will close out the Mass Effect trilogy on 360.
so the Two Human trilogy
so
as
did
well.
Silicon Knights.
But does anyone?
But I believe BioWare. I don't believe Silicon Knights.
Why do you believe BioWare? When has BioWare ever delivered?
John, I'd be surprised if Mass Effect 2 is on Xbox.
Seriously,
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think if now they've built the platform of the Unreal Engine, that they can iterate on that thing without having to redevelop what they've done.
I think Mass Effect 2 will be on it, but Mass Effect 3, there's
Thank you.
I think Mass Effect 2 could be on Xbox 720 and Xbox 360.
Garnett's right.
No,
You're wrong.
I bet.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
I think it could be on both. Multi-platform.
Depending on how they built the compatibility.
No. I think we'll see a partnership thing. I think BioWare will work on either the second or the third one, and someone like they did with Obsidian. With KOTOR 2. And it'll be one a year. It'll be 2 teams.
That's a good point.
And they'll close it out by 2010.
With the engine that they're working with and what they've done there, I would be perfectly happy to see a continuation of the story and not worry about the technology. Mm-hmm. The technology is there; it's fine.
But even to get that, it's going to take them a couple years, and by that time, everyone's going to start talking about the new technology. I think it's right. I think 2 Mass Effect games on this, if the trilogy still happens, which I hope a KOTOR thing doesn't happen. I hope they don't fucking offload it onto some shit second game.
Don't over discount KOTOR 2.
Shit.
KOTOR 2 wasn't shit.
No, it kind of was.
It wasn't.
No, it just wasn't as good as KOTOR 1.
Yeah, but that was enough to fucking stifle the entire series for pretty much everyone. Yeah. So as long as that doesn't happen, I think the future is bright. Cool. You'll get your second game out on 360. Next game will come out on next
I think
gen.
Microsoft should attempt to ride this out and take 360 further because you do benefit from that. When you let a system live for a long time, the games at the end are a lot better than you think they're going to be.
Right.
I think they shouldn't race too quickly into being first next time.
You know what though? That's kind of an interesting thing because what if God of War 2 parallel universe? What if God of War 2 came out on PS3? What would that have changed?
Parallel universe. Yeah, it would have pushed things forward, definitely. I mean, in God of War 3, which could be out as early as next November, that'll be curious to see what happens with that. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, very curious. But it is a very fine line, between... Because I think about that sometimes. God of War 2 was an amazing
I'm sure this
game,
is the number one question in Microsoft, right? When do we strike?
Right.
Because when you announce your next console, that is an admission of defeat. In a way, it really is. It is okay, we're done with that. And look how quickly Xbox One died. It was murdered. It didn't die out normally. It was fucking murdered, neck sliced open, blood everywhere.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that again.
When do we get to stop talking about hardware arguments and just focus on games? Because you know what, I'm so sick of arguing about hardware.
Well, you're about to talk about a game developer.
I know there are a lot of people who don't want to get into this argument, but I really just want to see one platform and let us just concentrate on the games.
Your one platform. Your one platform future is
here. We go.
Is a fucking pipe dream of retardation.
It is. What the fuck? Why is it?
Trip Hawkins, Dennis Dyack.
Competition is required.
Dennis, you know what? Dennis is fully right about this subject. It is absurd that we sit around and argue about hardware because we're not big enough to argue that. All it does is splinter us and make us weaker.
You get your one fucking piece of hardware, and when you have a piece of shit and nobody is competing.
Why does it have to be a piece of shit?
Because there's no competition. No one gives a crap. Why do you have to have
the
Xbox
hardware
Live?
Is already good enough to do everything we need.
All right, let's not get into this.
Let's talk about Bungie.
Let's talk about Bungie. So the big rumor is that...
Rumor?
Well,
yeah.
By the time you hear this, it might not be a rumor.
Yeah, it might have happened.
It might have happened. We're pretty confident in the
other outlets have
They
confirmed.
are seceding from the union.
So Bungie management has brokered a deal in which they are going to be buying back Bungie from Microsoft with apparently some rights of first refusal for Microsoft.
Well, and the rumor is also that buying it back wasn't cheap.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't.
Right.
By the way, they have a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
I've heard. Or something. So Bungie, where do the implications begin for this? What are the implications to Microsoft of losing, and I'm using the air quotes, of losing Bungie, which they're really not because they have rights of first refusal. Well, we know they're going to retain, or at least our understanding is that Halo is still a Microsoft property.
Halo's a Microsoft IP.
So where does that leave Bungie?
Here's the question, neither party has any reason to do this unless they think it's in their best interest to do it. But somebody kind of has to be right and somebody has to be wrong.
Well, it's definitely not in Microsoft's best interest. So it's definitely in Bungie's best interest.
Wait, why is it not in Microsoft's best interest,
Because Microsoft owns them. So they have to have agreed to allow them to do it.
Shane, let me put this, because Microsoft is not going to do this out of Bungie's like a bunch of cool guys and we just want to see them do well.
Okay.
Wait. Let me put this to you. I think this could be the thinking from Microsoft's perspective. Bungie wants to do something new. They talked about this even after Halo 2. We still have Halo. We have, and this is what I guess Game Informer reported.
Yes, Game Informer was the original reporter on this.
That is the important
first
part.
refusal.
The right of refusal is the integral part of this deal.
So if it's like Splat or whatever the fuck Pain, and they just want to say
Oni,
if they just want to say hey, yeah, good luck with that, go ahead and do it. But if it is hey, this is the next big fucking thing, we have it. So where is the downfall for Microsoft?
As of when we're taping this, we don't really know what's going on with this.
We don't have the details.
We've heard the GameInformer.com thing with the right of refusal. That may or may not be true.
That's true.
If right of refusal exists, and it's 100% right of refusal, whereas Microsoft gets first pick at everything Bungie makes, then yes, this is a good deal for both people. If that is not true, if this is Bungie being we're losing out here, we're forced to make something we don't want to make anymore, and we'd be making a lot more money, being multi-platform, selling our own games, self-publishing, the whole deal that what Valve wants, what everybody wants, what all hotshot developer wants,
right?
Then it's a different story altogether.
And it's not surprising in a lot of ways because Bungie never. It's almost more surprising that Bungie ever sold to Microsoft.
Yeah.
Because even the fact that they had their own studio, they knocked down walls when they were in Microsoft, and then they moved to a different location. It's they were always kind of their own weird thing.
There's a culture emerging at both Microsoft and Sony as well, where they want to bring everything closer and closer and closer. So there's Microsoft Game Studios, everyone reporting into Shane Kim. All of those studios are their in-house teams. They're not these separate entities that then have to come in present every now and then, the way Bungie did. And Bizarre were slightly different because they were like a second-party crew.
But speaking of Bizarre, this is coming.
But this is coming right on the heels of
the
Bizarre.
same week. Yeah. Activision purchased Bizarre,
and the Bungie rumor has triggered another rumor, which I heard this week, was that Rare are having the same conversation. It never worked.
Maybe Microsoft should so.
If I was Microsoft, that would have been the first one I would cut loose.
So a lot of people have brought up the Bungie thing with the Rare thing.
But the Bungie thing is different because everyone here will agree. If Halo had not been on Xbox One, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. Really.
So here's maybe the larger question.
Notice, no argument.
Here's a larger question. If Halo 4 comes out and it is not Bungie developed.
When Halo 4 comes out.
When Halo 4 comes out.
Wait.
It will not be Bungie developed.
Will the world accept?
Earlier this week, Garnet seemed to think that Bungie could make Halo 4 for Microsoft. I don't think that's going to happen either.
I think it's going to happen unless they break off, they buy themselves back, and Microsoft goes to them and says, we want to do another one. Here is an astronomical amount of money to do it.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen.
I think it'd be best.
And I think that is exactly what Bungie is planning on happening, because I think what they want to do is be able to run two teams, and they look at Halo as the cash influx to be able to run a second team to do what they want to do.
That's right.
I disagree. I think the average consumer doesn't really know what Bungie is. And I think the average consumer, if Halo 4 was coming out from Epic or from Gearbox or from Rare even,
that word would get out there.
If it was a good game, if Halo 4 was a good game and looked
like
Halo...
Follow the blue chevrons to Master Chief.
No. If Halo 4 is a good game from the developer, does it really matter? It's transparent to the average consumer.
That was my next question, but I think you might be discounting it a little bit because the average consumer with Halo is different than your average consumer with any other game.
Can we go back to being gamers for a minute? The bottom line here also is we're discounting the fact that Bungie actually cares about what they're making. And there's the one thing that I've dissed on Halo a little bit, but let me say this. There's one thing that inherently comes through so strongly in Halo, which is the amount of love that was poured into that game. And I cannot imagine the people who love that game that much letting someone else develop the next chapter of the core.
They're not going to give it to nothing against Digital Eclipse, like they do great ports of games, but they're not going to give it to some off-farm community. I think they
might give it to Gearbox.
Gearbox, but that wouldn't be. Would that be a bad thing?
No.
Necessarily?
No.
I can't imagine that. I'm sorry. I can't imagine them letting that go. I think they genuinely.
If they're sick of making Halo and want to make something else and they're not allowed to.
There's multiple groups. Why can they not make multiple games? I think that the whole intent.
You know why? Because when I went up, I was the first person, Ziv Davis, to play Halo 1. I went up and played Halo 1.
You love saying
5 years ago. When I went up there was a whole wall full of designs for a new game, and there were all these crazy fantasy designs.
Is this Phoenix?
I don't know what it was, and I was like, "What is that?" And they're like, "Oh, it's our next game, and we're working on it right now." You know what? Microsoft canceled that game.
What could pay for that better than Halo 4? What could provide?
They've already made their money, dude. They don't, I think they're sick of making Halo. I really think so.
I think think you're right.
There might be a contingent there that is, but there's also a contingent there.
I think you're grasping the straws, dude. I do not think Bungie's making Halo 4. I really don't.
Yeah, I think this whole thing, if it turns out to be true, is they talked about it after Halo 2.
And there's more than enough Halo projects in the works as it is.
I agree.
There's the
rumor of Lionhead even working on one.
There's that fucking whatever it's called that Peter Jackson's team is doing. There's the
I don't think Bungie is cut out to be the Tomb Raider studio. They don't want to be the Halo studio. And but Shane,
Core wasn't even cut out for it. No one's cut out for that.
But back to the original point, I do think the average gamer associates Halo more with Bungie than you probably give them credit for.
So if that is true, then how do we spin this? If this happens the way we think it's going to happen, what does it mean for Xbox platform for Microsoft to lose Halo from Bungie?
That's a very good question.
What does it mean for Microsoft to lose its number one game from its number one publisher?
Right.
That relationship.
That's a great question.
It'd be like Shigeru Miyamoto would be like, no more Marios for me. I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably a really good. It's like a Zelda. It's like, hey, we're gonna have somebody like Intelligent Systems is gonna.
I'll tell you what it means.
New Zelda.
But didn't they do that?
Well, no, they did it with
flagship
Paper Mario. But
I'll tell you what it means. It means
Capcom
in the second half of the 360, with the install base that they built, they better fucking find the AAA flagship.
Luckily, Gears of War sold 4 million copies, and Gears of War 2 will be what you want.
They better find the AAA flagship to carry it.
Gears of War 2.
I don't think so. I don't think that's it. I don't think it I think Gears of War is the hardcore game that Halo isn't.
But then again, Microsoft doesn't own the Gears of War universe. Epic does.
There you go.
Right. At least long term.
Lots of rumors. We're good with the rumor thing, huh?
A lot of shit's going on.
All right, so a lot of shit is going on. When we come back in just a minute, we're going to have the news. We have a couple of Halo sales figures. We have some game-related news. DS is selling a ton. Could be.
What else?
Shock and awe.
Shock and awe. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey 1UP members, do you want to win cool stuff? Then move your cursor to contests.1up.com, where we're giving away anything from games to PS3s, Wiis, and much more. It's all happening now at contests.1up.com.
All right, and we're back, and I forgot, actually I had one more rumor.
Oh, what was that?
Well, next week.
Oh, yeah.
Next week.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to reveal which of the 4 members of this current formula will be the next one to leave and usher in the next era of the Green 08 party revival.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Who knows?
Can you be a little less vague so people understand what the fuck you're talking about?
Nope. I think the regular listeners just went, oh shit, oh no.
Just when you Just for getting used to the Fab 4.
Fab 4?
So there you go. All right. So we talked about Halo 3 for quite a bit, and you know how you get to be in a position where you can name your own situation. It's when you sell more than $300 million in the first week. And John, your argument was very well put last week. I think most everybody agreed that it is because of the sticker price of the game that they get to post those numbers.
Well, yeah, people actually figured out that Halo 2 did sell more units the first day because it had a larger install base, but the median price, thanks to the higher SKUs of Halo 3, was.
And end of the day, $300 million is still $300
million. It's a lot of money.
But
it still doesn't mean that there's everyone in the world is playing Halo 3. It's
apparently 2.7 million gamers have played Halo 3 on Xbox Live in the first week.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Holy shit!
Actually, because you get the number of people who are playing Halo 3 at any one time,
right?
And it's like 650,000, which I believe is much larger than was, and it makes sense because the 360 is a much more plugged-in online console, and so I have, at any given night, probably about 25 friends playing. With Halo 2 at the height, maybe I had 18, 19.
For at least the first couple of days, it was amazing that there would be 20 to 25 people on my friends list logged in all the time, and all of them would be playing Halo 3. It's 2A1.
It's going to be months. There's so many people I've been like, we're going to play co-op. I'm going to play Legendary. We're going to turn on some skulls. We're going to play. We're going to figure it out. Shane, you and Ted are two of them.
I'm saying it sucks to be Orange Box, huh?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. And you want to know how? The other thing that's interesting is, as a marker of how voracious people's appetite for this game have been since Halo 3 launched. Gamers have unlocked nearly 30 million achievements.
If they could only turn those achievements into dollars.
I know, but still, isn't that crazy to think that all the achievements that people have unlocked in this game is silly. It's amazing the amount of people who are playing the game, the number of people who are playing it online, and the rate at which they are playing.
I don't know if I'm skipping ahead in your news, but it was a big deal for Halo 3 to top the Japanese weekly sales charts.
No, go ahead and nail that right now.
It was a slow week. There wasn't a lot of competition, but still, it did sell 59,000 units its first week in Japan, which is quite admirable.
Media creates sales numbers, and it was number one for the week.
They should be proud.
Wow.
That is a very impressive feat.
Although
for them.
It was Blue Dragon sold 80,000 its first week.
So here's where we get to have a little fun with former One Up Yours members. Speaking of former One Up Yours members, Mr. Luke Smith, who addressed the resolution issue of Halo 3 on
720p versus 1080i. What was it?
Well, no, it's 720p versus what is this? 640p or 6. Apparently, Bungie used some 1152 by 640 pixel render size because they relied on the upscaler. Blah 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 blah. Luke was spinning like a madman. It is so awesome. He was exactly the guy he used to take the piss out of.
He's like
completely.
600p is all the p's you need.
That's right. He's like, in fact, here's Luke. This is Luke Smith. I want you to just.
Can you do a Luke impression?
A tear for Luke for just a minute. In fact, you could argue that we gave you 1280 pixels of vertical resolution, since Halo 3 uses not one, but 2 frame buffers. Yeah, by the way, 720p is 720p. Frame buffers or no frame buffers.
I will say, like Halo 3, I think it looks fine. It looks good. No complaints about the graphics, but
no complaints about the graphics either.
Bungie, I'm used to pushing what I think is possible on a platform. Didn't happen to the extent with Halo 3 that it happened with Halo 1 and 2.
Well, not that Luke isn't a technical engineer or anything, but he did cite the very complex use of 2 buffers.
The game uses HDR lighting like a motherfucker.
It does. You know what? Actually, I noted this when I was on Techzilla the other day. Is they actually have one of the most elegant implementations of HDR lighting I've ever seen, because instead of it being like an in-your-face slap you over the face with how hard, we went from shadow to bright, now you're going to be blind. They're very good at blending it. But they're still explaining away stuff, right? I mean,
what the hell is Techzilla?
Yeah, I didn't know either. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
That's the
sounds like a monster truck.
I thought it was like a version of the Mozilla web browser that you only get on your...
That's Norton's new show on Rev 3.
Oh, okay.
That's not bad. It's good stuff. Anyway, and I love how Luke closed it out, because Luke just had to be like Luke. He's like, this wasn't addressed because it would have distracted conversation away from the more important aspects of the game and given tinfoil hats some new gristle to chew on as they catalog their toenail clippings.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, doesn't matter. Like,
no.
You get the resolution, the numbers, whatever. It's like, does the game look good or does it not?
That's really all that matters.
Story.
But the fact that it is in 720 is a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
Right, but can you tell?
No.
No. You know what? Actually, I don't think it's disconcerting because you can't tell. I agree. I just think it's funny, like, the way he was excusing away. I think it's really funny because it's Luke, who is, like, our news dude, and, like, he would have ripped new version of Luke.
Had Resistance been 600p,
oh my God,
probably wouldn't have heard the end.
He would have ripped him a new asshole. So
I'm just wondering why Luke had to be the guy out on the front line and not someone in PR.
Luke sent to die. Apparent.
I don't know. It was beyond 3D.
No, it's like one of those. They have the weekly updates, so that thing came out on the internet in between, and like Microsoft is not going to fucking address that. They don't even know what the fuck. Like, honestly, it is a small segment of the community that even notices and cares about this.
Very small.
As big of a blip as happened with it, it is like the tech nerds that are like, wait a second, the frame buffer, this, that, the other thing.
It is.
Blah,
just
blah,
go
blah.
enjoy the game, have a good time with it. It's fun to play.
I will say, to counter it, there is a group on Facebook now called Luke Smith Internet Legend.
Wow.
There you go. Nice. Internet legend. So moving on from more sales numbers, and these are even far more impressive than Halo 3, because if 3 million was a big deal to you, how about 50 million worldwide? That is the apparently all consolidated worldwide DS sales numbers as put together by PC World, reported through tech.co.uk. That is a staggering number. At the rate they're going right now, they will eclipse the number that it took 16 years for the Game Boy to do in less than half the amount of time.
That's amazing.
It's scary.
So you think of how fast and how big the Game Boy became in handheld gaming, and the DS is going to, in less than half the amount of time, eclipse that number.
It prints money.
And to think we were all a little like, huh, when they showed it the first time.
I know. Is that amazing? What?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, but at the same time, name 3 third-party games that are great on the DS.
Well, and this is an ongoing situation for Microsoft, and they really don't do themselves.
Microsoft?
I mean, for Nintendo. Why do I do that every week? Why do I do that every week? Last week it was.
Come on, I want to go back to Mark's question. We've got to be able to think of 3 really good ones.
Do it.
Okay,
Do it.
Castlevania,
easy.
Phoenix Wright.
You're already on the borderline.
And
Front Mission.
No.
Are you?
That's not even out here.
But it's out.
Subarashiki.
Case closed. Thank you. Move on.
Medios.
Are you? Wait.
Nintendo
what?
published that.
Yeah. And even so,
Cooking Marmar.
Cooking Mama.
even counting Castlevania as kind of a gimme, like
How is that a gimme?
because Castlevania has been the third-party go-to thing. The sales numbers are not amazing. They're not Nintendogs, but they're okay. Gamers will buy it, but nobody else will.
There's got to be some of the puzzle games that aren't Nintendo.
Do it.
Are they all?
Give me the third
I
game.
got one, Mark. Doko Demo Pilates.
There you go.
All the puzzle games.
I stand corrected.
Everything that we've played like fanatically has been first party, right?
Hey, it's in Nintendo's best interest for Nintendo
Hotel Dusk.
to have the best-selling
Hotel Dusk. Who published
Nintendo.
that?
It's in Nintendo's best interest for Nintendo games to be the platform leaders.
All I'm saying is, take it with a grain of salt. More and more when you hear Nintendo, like, hey, if you add up every third-party game that's ever been sold, it actually almost tops our first-party game.
I mean, this week someone had looked at the Japan sales from the beginning of this year till this month, and in Japan this year, 46% of all software sales, all across all platforms, are Nintendo's.
So here's where Nintendo would completely shut down PSP. PSP is living on third party. If Nintendo can finally get that thing, and I'm not sure what exactly it is, it's probably something they're doing where it's in their best interest. They want to keep it how they're doing it.
PSP doesn't exactly suck because, as we noted,
PSP doesn't suck at all.
As we noted in our news in this news item, they've sold 25 million 25 million. That's not exactly horrible.
Yeah, and whenever anybody at TGS, Mark and I were there, people are like, PSP is a failure. And Mark and I were like, you're fucking retarded.
Yeah, exactly.
PSP is the biggest success anyone has ever had of fighting Nintendo for handheld supremacy.
Yeah, the big deal is that
badmouths the PSP.
Yeah, like compare it to Game Gear and Lynx. And, come on. Like PSP is a huge success.
And it's their first gen thing doing it. Like PSP kicks fucking ass.
Yeah.
Fuck you to anyone that badmouths the PSP. You compare it to the DS, anything's going to suck. But hey, guess what? If you're a third party,
it's awesome.
If you're a third party, compare those third party sales figures.
And the other beauty of it is that it's a cheap platform for them to develop for.
Well, what we reported also includes that of those 50 million DSs that Nintendo sold, 20 million of them have come from Japan alone, which means that basically if you walk around Japan, 1 in 6 people has a Nintendo DS.
It's true.
It is. And I saw, like, this past trip to TGS, I saw more women playing DS than I ever see.
I was on the train with John Riccardi and we were drunk and there was like this old lady playing DS. I was like, check out the Obasan, which is like old hag, and he's like, be quiet. I'm like, no, but she's playing DS. And then we saw like a grown adult man playing a pink DS. I'm like, he's got a pink DS.
More people on the airplane. There were more women playing DS games than there were guys playing DS, which is a huge thing for Japan and a huge thing for DS.
Yes, the DS is huge.
God bless them. They're doing great. Guess what? So is the PSP.
Okay, so if first party is a big deal, can someone explain to me what is going on with why Nintendo would release Chibi Robo only at Walmart in America?
Oh, Chibi Robo.
This is the strangest story. And let me just read the quote from Nintendo. This is Nintendo of America's response to our inquiry as to the reasoning behind doing this.
Wait, you actually got someone at Nintendo to respond to something?
Apparently, man, Patrick Klepek, he's getting good. He's getting it down.
Does anyone work at Nintendo right now that speaks to people on the outside?
They have some new people.
Well, here's what they told us. They said that because of Walmart's strong environmental program.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is to laugh.
and social giving campaign.
I'm sorry. Walmart's fucking evil.
Chibi Robo Park Patrol has an environmental theme, and we wanted to make sure that it received exposure among a broad audience of consumers as we continue to get more and more people interested in the world of video games.
Oh my God. Okay.
Wow. How does it broaden your audience to limit your sales exposure? I'm fully dumbfounded.
Look, it's like Electroplankton.
It is somewhat like that.
Got ahead of themselves. They localized this game. Chibi Robo didn't do that well, but it's like, it's still worth bringing out. Walmart, we're gonna like fluff Walmart, and I say fluff with a little like hand gesture.
Well, yeah, because if you've seen,
you're gonna kind of twiddle them just a little bit.
If you've seen the actual box, it's not a sticker that says Walmart exclusive. No. Walmart exclusive is printed on the actual label.
It's part of the thing.
What's a done deal?
They give Walmart like a blowjob by giving them this exclusive game, and it was probably already localized. I have no idea about the game actually itself.
I hear it's not as good as the GameCube game.
Okay, really? That's not good news.
That's sad.
I mean, not that the GameCube game was an abortion, but it could have been better. So
it was a cute concept, but it needed some refinement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not that much of a stretch for Nintendo though, because Walmart has such a huge market share when it comes to selling
in anything
just
DS,
video games, period.
Okay,
and Nintendo.
Then riddle me this. Why is it that when Patrick went to Nintendo's website and looked up Chibi Robo, that the product page made no mention of the Walmart exclusivity of it?
Well, it's not in Canada. It's being distributed through normal outlets, I've heard.
Okay, but when you go to the North American website, wouldn't it be maybe safe to presume that a large majority of those people would be from the United States? And they might be interested in finding the game?
Metroid website didn't even mention Metroid Prime 3 until like a week before it came out.
I mean, but this is out. This is out. It's already out.
I know, but
this was like a weird concession to Walmart. They're the number one retailer in America, and it's in the game probably suffers.
How is it a concession to them? This is not like a big title. I mean, Walmart is not going to suddenly be
right. But
it's not like Zelda's exclusive.
I know.
It's fucking Chibi Robo.
For Nintendo, who's obviously leading the industry internationally, to give Walmart any exclusive title is a boon to them.
It's a big experiment. It's probably a game that they don't anticipate to sell very well in the grand scheme of things. But you make a concerted effort in one place that has a big share. Right. Let's see what you can do when you funnel everything in one place.
And if you look online on message boards, the fans of Chibi Robo are going to Walmart to find this game.
So see, it
is working in a way.
Right.
Exactly. And my explanation behind this is that is what they gave Walmart. Is they gave them a way to get the person who ordinarily would shop at EB Games or GameStop
and when that person,
into Walmart because
when
they have to go there.
They'll find that Walmart's rolling back prices on many items they want to buy.
Exactly. So Clue, go ahead and stop by the deodorant aisle. Okay, anywhere.
And you can buy a handgun while you're there too. It's very convenient.
Shotgun, little worms, go some fishing. You got it all there.
Great.
All right. What you might want to also do is pre-order BioWare's Mass Effect Collector's Edition if you're into that kind of stuff. They announced recently on.
Does it come in a helmet?
No
cat helmet.
No cat helmet. No.
As it turns out, the helmet is way too big for my cat.
Really? I mean,
well, your cat is, I think, way too big for that helmet. Actually,
his cat is pretty
fat
large.
Ass fucking
okay,
cat.
I don't care about Shane's cat. What comes in the Mass Effect?
No
non-helmet.
No figures, no helmets. A couple of books. You get a Galactic Codex, which I'm going to presume
that's in the game.
Wait,
right? But a written
this.
version.
Books? I don't get any video, DVD. I get a DVD.
The Galactic Codex.
Shane's already sporting, and then you get an art book.
Come on, I get a DVD.
Hope it's better than the Halo 3 art book.
And you also get a second DVD included with featurettes on the game's art and storytelling.
Does it come in a tin like everything else Microsoft puts
Christ,
out?
if it does, scratch disc confirmed. Yeah, anyway.
And presumably this is $70, right?
They haven't announced the price yet, but yes, presumably it will be $70. Moving on to games that are causing other people to get their feathers ruffled, the Simpsons game, which is, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, is actually a really cool, inside gaming world game of taking on a parody.
Very postmodern.
I think it's very cool.
When's it out?
Very meta.
And end of this month.
Okay.
We just found out in an interview with CBG, Simpsons game lead designer Greg Rizzer admits that they actually had to change some of the content in the game because of pressure from the games that they were parodying. For instance, Grand Theft Scratchy came up, and he cited as he was not, and probably because of legal ramifications, he was not willing or didn't come forward with any of the things they had to change inside the game. But he pointed out that at Leipzig, they had to take down the Grand Theft Scratchy posters because of pressure from Rockstar.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Pussies.
No.
I mean, but we've seen other parodies in there. There's a Pokemon parody in it, very obvious. I've heard there's an EverQuest parody.
There's a lot of
Medal of Honor parody.
A lot of good parodies in it, but I mean, come on, if you're gonna do that, fucking bring it. Have some balls.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that what he pointed out, he goes on to say that I'm guessing that probably more than anything, it was a lawyer, the people who work on the product. I doubt they were stop that. I kind of agree with him on this, don't you think?
Yeah.
Probably lawyers, too much litigation. All right, let's move into some PS3 talk. On the beginning of the PS3 talk, we've been talking about the DualShock, and as a matter of fact, you were just saying that you played with the DualShock. So, Shane.
Yeah.
Better or worse than the old DualShock?
Well, if you go back to
same.
If you go back to TGS, the first thing most of us got to play with it, you got to play Burnout, but we got to play MGS, and MGS used it really well, and everyone tried to take a shit out of us for saying, it's like next-gen Rumble. Well, no, it's a very effective use in MGS4, and it does feel different than the Wii and 360 Rumbles because we hadn't, how long has it been since you held a PS2 DualShock? But, playing a bunch of games today with it, it is the same old rumbling technology, but, games can use it in different ways.
And that's the big thing, because the story that came out this week is that Immersion CEO Vic Villegas, I hope I pronounced that correctly, said in an interview with Game Daily that basically this is the same technology it's always been. They're not using the next-gen technology, which, by the way, they had also pitched to Sony. And the curious part about that is that the new technology would also be would for one thing have more gradations of rumble that they could apply through the controller, and would be more cost effective because it only uses one motor.
I still want the fucking.
And presumably, the charge in the PS3 controller, which is not the greatest thing in the world, would have lasted longer with the next-gen stuff.
That was another thing that they said. Yeah, which why not? If you're gonna at least get the leg up on the other guys. If you're gonna be late to something, get that shit in there. And
after all the shit they went through,
I think they should have done force feedback sticks. I still think that. Actually.
Force feedback sticks?
I still think so.
How would that work, though, with just a thumbstick? I mean, wouldn't that be very difficult to play with? Wouldn't that become frustrating?
I think that would have been cool.
I've never felt it, but I want
resistance on a stick.
Yeah.
That would have been a next-gen feature.
Didn't this Immersion guy also speculate that maybe Nintendo is somehow breaking their copyright?
Yeah, they were very iffy on that. They're like, we haven't quite said whether or not
but they aren't. They aren't because it's only using the speaker. That's why the Rumble's so crappy on Wiimote. Anyway.
There you go. In other news on the PS3, Capcom, in an interview with GG Press, President... Oh my gosh, I'm going to totally do this horrible. Let's just say Sugimoto said that the company is shifting its development focus on Sony platforms from PlayStation 2 titles to PlayStation 3 titles. Isn't this kind of a
I'd say about time?
Yeah, welcome to 2006.
Yeah.
Midway, on the other hand, in a series of announcements this week, noted many problems that actually kind of tie them back to Epic. The first of them goes to this whole subject of Unreal Tournament 3, and there's a bit to get into here. So Midway announces that Unreal Tournament 3 is moved back to Q1 2008.
Right.
And our friend of the show, Mr. Mark Rain, then immediately hops on the forums and says, well, you know, Midway is a corporation, and they have to make these forward-looking statements to their shareholders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we're going to try and get this game done by the end of the year.
You know what? And like that said, and before any of this stuff happened, Shane, you know this, like I had talked about many times, like, is Unreal Tournament 3 really coming out this fall? Because it just seemed like things were way too quiet from our end for it actually to be coming out in like the next month.
I don't think
or
the
two.
fault is with this like slash rant here. This is nothing to do with Midway or Epic. This is Sony. This is
really?
Sony's problem. Sony needs to start fucking acting like a first party again and a platform holder and supporting the people that publish for them. They've been very public.
John, like several months ago.
Don't take the Sony side a second. Sony is a platform holder, and they've gone from supporting everyone that develops for them to competing with them. There used to be a day where if Epic, who have the highest profile engine in video games in the world right now, said, hey boys, we're having a bit of a problem making this work on your hardware. We can't get the frame rate above 20 frames a second or whatever the fuck it is. Phil Harrison would have airlifted 100 guys into Epic to make sure that it happened.
But that's kind of what we heard was happening, that Sony had, in fact, cut a huge deal with Epic a few months ago.
They had cut a huge deal, but they've not done anything. They're not.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I do know that. I've talked to people who have said that Epic is not getting the support from Sony necessary to make this thing work.
Why don't I corroborate that real quickly with the rest of the Midway statement, which was that they've been encountering extensive problems with the Unreal Engine, which is a significant part of the PS3 development kit.
Yeah.
And David Zucker had a conference call to talk about that as it related to Stranglehold and Area 51.
Yeah, because Stranglehold is still not out, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Still not out.
I have to say,
and not only is it not out.
Still not out.
Not only is it not out.
29th of October now.
And as he put it, the release date is actually an unspecified fourth quarter release date. So, and Area 51 may be a little bit better off. He said that would arrive 3 weeks after the Xbox 360. He said they continue to experience issues with the PS3 version of the Unreal Engine.
Issues. No, sorry.
What'd I say?
You said issues. But
they
go ahead.
They continue to experience issues with the Unreal Engine 3. However, they feel like they're on top of them, because at the end of this call, he did say that they expect in the next fiscal year, 2008, that all of their titles will come out day and date on Xbox 360, PC, and PS3.
Them finishing the Epic, the Unreal Engine on PS3 is so important. Like,
but am I the only one that at E3 was like, wait, what? Really? When they said like, hey, we just reached a deal with Epic where actually the Unreal Engine is actually going to work on PS3. It's wait a second, E3 a year ago, didn't we see stuff happening?
Mark, there's a lawsuit happening.
I was about to say, Dennis's argument, I mean, as adamant and, as quick as we are to dismiss Dennis for getting quite excited, I'm speaking of Dennis Dyack, his argument starts to take on some weight when you see some of these other peripheral events.
I don't think we were quick to dismiss Dennis's argument.
I don't think we were. I think a lot of people in the
Do you remember all of the stuff, all the things we sat through when the PS2 launched about how important middleware was going to be? You remember?
Yes.
And we would go and we would listen to Ken talk, and there would be all these logos on the screen, and this is where we learned what renderware was and what we learned what Havoc was, and these were all super important things, and they had these little pockets of technology teams.
Yeah.
And this is where Phil went beyond being like the third party guy and kind of became the English tech guy. And this was all about Sony making sure that all of these little middleware companies could deliver exactly what was necessary so that everyone could focus on content. Now, why isn't that happening now? If the Epic Unreal Engine is so important, why isn't Sony throwing everything they possibly can to make it happen?
To be devil's advocate, a engine based on that runs really well on a console based on PC hardware, and this Epic has always done PC stuff. Like, did we expect it to magically instantly work on?
But hardware
we
expected it to work.
Yeah,
2 years ago when they said they were doing it.
Exactly. When they announced, when they were showing stuff on PS3 from the start, like, do you have to have a special announcement like, "Hey, we're working with Epic"? The fact guess what? Unreal Engine 3 is going to actually work on PS3.
The fact that they showed Unreal that first time we saw PS3, like it wasn't really working, and then like they later the Dennis Dykes lawsuit is like, well, they weren't really working on it.
The bigger underlying problem for me, and I'm sure that this is a problem that Sony is struggling with, is for them to make a significant investment in getting Unreal Engine 3 working on PS3 doesn't help them on exclusive. It only helps them on multi-platform titles, because Unreal Engine 3 is not a PS3 exclusive engine. It's a multi-platform engine. It's a 360 engine. It's a PC engine. So at the end of the day, if they commit all of their eggs to that basket, where does that leave them for generating exclusive content that will sell PS3s?
It's true.
And that's a tough question.
What? But nobody's. I guess I got lost in the middle of that, because everyone's just saying like, hey, we bought Unreal Engine because we want to make a game that comes out on 360 and PC and PS3.
We were talking about where Sony used to would have airlifted all these people in to make it work right.
The rumor that's been reported, in multiple places, including EGM, is that Sony and Epic are working together, not on Unreal Tournament 3, but on a new game, a new IP, a new game for PS3 exclusively, with this engine that will look better than what you see elsewhere.
Why I was getting worked is that Sony isn't being a responsible platform holder that it once was, because look at all the people that have said they're using Unreal Engine to do a PS3 game. Midway, sort of most visibly right now, are getting fucked up by this.
Yeah.
And they're like, you said as the platform holder, and you said as the guys making it, that you were going to get in a room and sort this out.
But it really sounds, John, like you're trying to put all the blame on Sony and none of it on Epic.
No, I think it's Epic, but I think because this is tied in with you remember the comments that Sony was making when the sports games weren't running at the frame rate?
Right.
It wasn't.
They blame the developers.
Yeah, it was, well, we did it.
Right.
Like, that's not behaving like a platform holder. Like a responsible platform holder should be going out to its third parties and making sure that they can ship.
That was really cheeky.
And is Nintendo doing that on Wii?
But Nintendo doesn't care. Like, they don't have the same kind of...
Nintendo Wii is like fucking Pluto, okay?
Nintendo has no...
They're in a different
world. The double standard that we have for platform holders here.
It's not a double standard, because PlayStation was built on third-party support. It wouldn't be... You were saying, Xbox wouldn't exist without Bungie. PlayStation wouldn't exist without third party.
And coming out of TGS, it's obvious that Metal Gear Solid 4 was by 10 times more important than any other game there. Obviously.
Yeah,
very true.
And let's face it, like Madden on Wii is an entirely different thing than Madden on PS3 versus Madden on 360. Like, if Sony was smart, they would have been like, holy fuck, Madden on 360 is running at twice the frame rate on ours. We cannot have that perception out there, especially with $100 cheaper SKU. We gotta do this. Airlift people in, fucking parachute them in. Like, we gotta do whatever we gotta do to make sure EA gets this right.
It'll be interesting if Mark Rain is being honest and it really does come out December 22nd or something. I'll be impressed.
Yeah, that would be weird too.
Well, I know who won't be waiting, and that's the PC gamers, because apparently they're still going to get it in November, and that's who's actually lapping all the way to Best Buy.
Yeah, I mean, Unreal Tournament, who does it really matter to at the end of the day?
You were saying last week, Unreal PC franchise.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
Big surprise, right?
Yeah.
So it is kind of.
And the question is, if it does end up shipping in February on PS3, how does that affect the 360 version? Does the exclusivity deal continue, or do they have to pay the money back? What happens then?
Very quietly, PC gamers this fall are getting a lot of wins between that and the way the Half-Life franchise is coming out, and the way Crysis is coming out. So Half-Life is very big also, and then of course the other big news with this week.
Actually, did you guys listen to what's his name from Crytek on the GFW podcast when he was talking about how they future-proofed Crysis?
Sabat?
Yeah, and
he's awesome. He's
the
such a cool
modular
dude.
nature of the engine, which means that 5 years from now they'll still be on the cutting edge of graphics with the engine they've built. That's pretty incredible.
That's a pretty bold statement.
If they can do that, then that's pretty incredible.
If they could do that, that would be incredible.
Getting into the PC, we talked about the Orange Box, which is another thing. Why that's not Unreal Engine, the PS3 version. Lagging behind.
They had EA Internal do the port instead of having Valve do it.
That's so bad. So bad.
I don't know but that's assuming that someone at Valve is a PS3 hardware expert. I mean, what they needed to do was have the right group do that, and maybe EA does have the right resources.
As far as I know, no one's ever seen the PS3 version.
Not good.
I haven't. You're right.
Yeah, no one's ever seen it.
And it's supposed to only be a few weeks behind, right?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, kind of skeptical.
Before you leave Midway, though, like at the end of that Midway call, they mentioned some other games coming out next year.
Are you excited about that? I didn't include that.
Well,
but
I think the Mortal Kombat announcement, I wanted to talk about it because they announced a new Mortal Kombat.
And Blitz.
Well, and you're a fan.
Well, and what's interesting about the Mortal Kombat thing is about a year ago, Boone, the guy who makes it, he said Ed Boon said oh yeah, it's going to be like Gears of War. So everyone is like hoping for like this like gritty, amazing, Unreal Engine powered like return to the awesome fatalities, mature shit. But at the same time, a lot of rumors came out this week, and EGM reported a rumor about 6 months ago that the next Mortal Kombat would be Mortal Kombat versus something.
Fatality.
Versus another IP, like a non-Midway IP.
Like,
on
Mortal Kombat versus Predator?
The rumor that came out this week on some message boards was there'd be like a comics license.
Marvel?
Marvel versus Mortal Kombat?
Specifically DC versus Mortal Kombat. Yeah. That's the rumor that came out this week. And I'm not going to confirm.
I'm not going
to confirm or deny. But
Raiden versus Batman?
Do not want.
If this next Mortal Kombat is something like that, it's teen rated. Get ready for that.
Really?
All I'm going to say. Get ready for your teen rating, kids.
So like Sweat? Are we back to the yellow Sweat Super Nintendo?
It's Nintendo Mortal Kombat.
Teen rating.
All right, so let me just bring this little news segment home with something that's interesting because a lot of our forumites often like to talk about whether or not games are actually art. Here's a new bullet for their guns. The Writers Guild of America has set up a new award that they will begin awarding at the 2008 Writers Guild Awards, which will be held this February, and it will be for the encouragement of storytelling excellence in video games to improve the status of writers and to begin to encourage uniform standards in the unappreciated world of game writing.
I'd like to nominate right now, here on the podcast, officially, Portal.
For writing?
Yes.
That intrigues me significantly because episode 1 and episode 2 I would really be into, but I wasn't expecting you to say that about Portal.
Presumably because it's dialogue instead of narrative, right?
Play it, you'll understand.
President Patrick M. Verone said that video games are written, and many are written very well. By recognizing the skill and craft of video game writing, the Writers Guild intends to raise the profile of these writers so that they can get WGA contracts and benefits for this work. If you're of the mind that video games are an art form, this is a fairly significant milestone.
I think there's another way to look at this as well, that if they're starting to acknowledge it, maybe it will encourage some of the publishers to put a bit more effort into who they bring in to do this shit.
Absolutely. Don't you hope so?
Because it's still like, we shouldn't be saying, I was listening to EGM Live last week and someone was talking, I can't remember what game it was, but it's like, they brought in a professional writer. Well, like anyone that gets paid to write is a professional writer.
It wasn't just some guy.
Yeah, but it's like, no, it wasn't the fucking product manager who could string a sentence together, like writing it down. They did hire somebody in. And it's like, 20 years in, should we still be highlighting that? It should be taken as a matter of course that someone that knew what they were doing was writing the story.
Good point. I mean, you had these text adventure games that a lot of people write about wistfully, like, oh, this is when you had a story to a game.
Oh, Wishbringer.
There's a vast no man's land. I mean, from the origins where that was what the game was all about, the writing, the content, and then all of a sudden became about technology, and it's been about technology for 2 or 3 decades now, to all of a sudden, hey, you know what? We could include some writing in here.
Hey. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you see Richard Garriott bought Sputnik? That's a kind of an off-topic thing. I saw that today. How weird is that?
Really?
Yeah.
Not only did he buy Sputnik, he's going to the International Space Station.
Nice. I would too if I was him.
Yeah.
With my rat tail and everything.
Well, so maybe on the message boards this week you can also come up with some ideas of where you might want Shane to go, or
I'm sure you can come up with some.
Oh man, we do appreciate you listening. For Mark McDonald, John Davis, and Shane Bettenhausen, I'm Garnet Lee. Thank you very much for listening. Come visit us at boards.oneup.com, and until next week, we are Ghosts.